he's the best I've played against.
Welcome back to the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. He's the coach, Philip Roybal. And then we have our friends Jay from Unfair Sports and Chris from the Horns Down Podcast. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Thanks, guys, for joining us tonight. How's everybody doing?
Happy Taco Tuesday, everybody.
Yeah, appreciate you for. No, don't say that, bro. My Lakers lost last night, but appreciate you for the invite, man.
Hey, you know me.
No worries,
you know me well, Jay. I done had my tacos for the day.
I love me some tacos. Heck yeah! What do you mean your Lakers lost? Were you surprised about it, Chris? Come on now.
I am a little bit.
4 straight, bro, and you were surprised about last night.
Let's talk some football, man.
Yeah. I bet you want to talk football. All right. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We're so glad everybody joined us tonight.
Jason with the hardcore troll over here, like, dang.
This is how Jason rolls. We already know this, bro. Come on now.
Fair point. Touche.
This is how Jason rolls. What's up, gentlemen? Welcome everybody to the show. James, thank you for joining us. I will definitely throw your rankings out there whenever we get it there. Adela, I'm sorry you're not feeling well. We've got half of your rankings here, so we'll throw them out there as well when we get going. Glad everybody's back. It's been a long week for me since we last were on here. So been moving, had some other stuff going on, so it's just one of the deals that didn't have time to make anything this past week. Got a couple of announcements, though. We're going to actually be building a studio here at my old stomping grounds of Hobbs, New Mexico. I will be back around the coach quite often. So he'll be, when we get the studio done, we'll be making sure that he's in studio with us. So it's we're going to be producing some podcasts for them as well, for the Hobbs New Sun in Hobbs, New Mexico, along with, of course, the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. So I'm excited about that. We are definitely looking for sponsors to help us out with all this stuff, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. But fellas, thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to talk about a few things, starting off with, the portal giveth, the portal taketh away, and obviously our recruiting rankings probably took a dip, or I don't know if it takes a dip really for 23. It was locked in there. Oklahoma loses wide receiver Keon Brown from the mix coming into the fall season. Looks like it was probably a great thing. He's going to be enrolled at Garden City Community College, so I'm guessing something happened with his grades. Want to just start off with you guys, Jay. Let me know what you think about that. What are you hearing? What's your feelings on the whole deal?
Yeah, it makes sense because he was hardcore Oklahoma. There were so many people trying to sway him out. I mean, it's 6'3". Right, 6'3", 180-pound wide receiver, big, strong, fast dude. So many schools were trying to pry him away from Oklahoma, and he kept letting everybody know, nope, I know where home is, and he kept talking about it. And then when all of the rumblings went down, I was like, okay, this is why teams are trying to get in there at him, is because he may not have the grades by the time he graduates to get admitted. And since that looks like it came to fruition, him going to community college, honestly, Garden City's perfect. It's in Kansas. It's up the street around the corner from here. It's not far. It's a place that we get players from anyway. We've gotten them in the past.
I'm glad he's going to Garden City, not somewhere there around Florida or Mississippi or something like that.
Exactly. There's a lot of JUCOs he went to. He went close to Oklahoma. So I think that him going there is a key thing for Oklahoma. The second thing is that he probably wasn't going to play next year anyway. So he can go 1 year, get some actual run, and get his grades right, transfer in Oklahoma and be just fine.
Right. So you feel like he is locked in there then?
Oh yeah, I think he's locked in at Oklahoma still. I think it's just he didn't have a choice. It wasn't like he didn't want to come to Oklahoma. He couldn't.
Right. Grades along with his SAT testing. Go ahead, Chris. What were you about to say?
I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, first year, just to kind of piggyback off of what Jay said, he could be a qualifier. I definitely think that it speaks volumes. And I was speaking with my uncle about this earlier this morning. I say, you know, that does send a message that he still may be pro OU as far as just the location, the vicinity or whatnot. You know, Garden City Community College, being a JUCO or whatnot, you know, they have talent and they produce a lot of talent. And those Kansas JUCOs produce talent every year. I mean, all around. So don't get it twisted. But yeah, if he's a qualifier, if he's able to get his grades right, get all that stuff right, you know, coming into it, you know, I was talking about Petaway a lot. My uncle was talking about this kid. He was like, hey man, look, that kid could be the next CeeDee Lamb for us. He's like, he has that type of potential and that type of talent.
He's definitely that build. He's definitely got that kind of build.
It's a loss because I kind of disagree with Jay on this, and it's rare that I disagree with Jay, but I think that Petaway and Brown would have contributed this year in some way. I think they would have found a way on the field, not only with you know, because Petaway's speed, but also with just Brown's overall, his potential, his size, all the rest of that. I think that he could have been a guy that you would have saw out there. So obviously these coaches are big on not just, you know, networking or not just recruiting, but actually building relationships. So I think that, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out at some point, you know, through the tea leaves or the message boards. Oh, you fans stay away from the message boards right now. But anyways, I would not be surprised if it comes out at some point that, you know, OU had, you know, his recruiters from OU had a little bit of a hand to play in this to kind of sway him to go to a Garden City, especially coming from Florida.
Happens.
Yeah.
It definitely happens. Yeah.
We lived in the JUCO pool back in the day.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
So did Nebraska.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised. So I mean, yeah, and I mean that's the thing. But yeah, you know, it kind of is a loss because now it puts you in a place if you're OU or if you're OU fans where you're constantly looking for now 2 wide receivers because you wanted at least just one more because you were, you know, for sure that June 3rd, come June 3rd, Petaway and Brown were going to be on campus. Now you're down Brown, so you know you kind of have to ask yourself, look, we've went and got some 4-year guys or some guys that are going to be around with some eligibility. Do we go take a 1-year rental now? Do we go take a couple of 1-year rentals?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I think it has to be the right fit for me because I know what we're trying to bring in. So yeah.
Let me ask you this, Chris, real quick. On the depth chart, who would you see Petaway and Brown supplanting? So you go down the list. You've got Farouk. You got Nick Anderson. You got Jalen Gibson. You got Andrell Anthony. You have DJ Graham, Drake Stoops, LV Buckley Shelton, Gavin Freeman. So that's just the first 8 that I could think of. We got more. JJ Hester, who I think is actually healthy for a change.
Well,
they're just cautious with him. Yeah, I mean, there's about 10 guys we have on the roster that I think would make it hard for. I think Petaway does have a chance because of his speed, but I think Brown would have been a long-term project. You know what I'm saying? Like prepping him to be. I want Farouk to be a Peter Ward for us, and I think that, like you said, Brown had that CeeDee Lamb-ishness to him. I saw his sophomore year as the guy, but who'd you see him supplanting if he did come?
I'm not saying that they were going to be starters, but I think they would definitely get time. I mean, the thing is that
that's fair.
The verdict is still out on Jaden Gibson. I mean, I
didn't even name him too.
Yeah, I don't even really want to get into all of that. But with Jaden Gibson, you know, it's just inconsistency.
Well, yeah, he's dropping footballs, man. We've been talking about that a lot, and this is one of those things where I almost felt like he was the possibility that he could transfer out. You know, and we had actually heard some of that kind of stuff that there was a possibility about it. So, one of the things that I would say coming into that is that you really got to look at it as probably a good thing for Jaden that he's got another opportunity, because he very well could have supplanted. And I think you're kind of right, Chris, on that. And go ahead though, finish off.
So what I was going to say to finish is this right here is that Nick Anderson, I hear he's all world during camps, but he never seems to be healthy. He would have played last year if he was healthy. This year, didn't really see him. I don't think we saw him at all in the spring game. So my question is he going to be healthy? Every time that I've seen JJ Hester, he's been in a walking boot. So it's kind of one of those things where I just have to see it to believe it, to know, and those guys obviously have a year in the playbook, but is it going to actually come? I think LV Buckley Shelton is going to get a lot of time this year as well, simply because I think he's a really good wide receiver, but I think he's a guy. I think he gets it. Watching him and watch his mannerisms, watching just the swagger that he has out there on the field, he gets this offense. But at the same time, you got some young bulls out there. I think that, especially with how, I wouldn't say unproven per se, but I would say that we got a bunch of guys. We just don't have that dude out there right now. So my hope is that will be Anthony or Farouk, which I really am bullish on Farouk. But at the same time, I think best players are going to play no matter if they've been there for a few months, they're freshmen or whatever the case may be. I think best players are going to play. And when I look at that talent pool that we have, I think that those two could have been some of your better players, especially towards the middle of the season.
Coach, coming at you a little bit now, obviously you've coached in college and at the high school level, but how often have you seen like some of the bigger schools come after kids where they know they're going to have a grade issue, something like that, and they kind of plant them at a place that they know is friendly to the program?
Oh, Coach? Absolutely. We had lots of those conversations with kids and coaching staffs, and let's get him here at this JUCO. Obviously, the Kansas, just like the Kansas schools you're talking about, great to go to, close to home again. But yeah, you're going to plant them in those JUCOs, and it's not 100% guarantee, but it's a pretty good shot that they're going to end up going to where you want them to go, and that obviously we're talking about Oklahoma.
Right. Well, you were the thing is that obviously if he was going to probably stay somewhere like, and maybe he was thinking Florida State or anything like that, he could have stayed in Florida, or he could have went to any of the 15 different ones that are in Mississippi, for SEC stuff. So, there's, as we all know, there's a lot of those guys out there.
Those relationships too.
What's that?
And it's about those relationships, because it's about the relationships that you have with those JUCOs too. OU will have relationships with those regionally, probably far more so than out of the region. But again, you got buddies that are out there coaching, and there's that other deal you got to look at too. You're going to put players where your buddies are, and you go and get them back. So it's all a process.
It's fair.
Sure. Well, in talking about the relationships, obviously there's the relationship that they've built there. And this is something that I kind of segues pretty well into what we were going to talk about next. But, this relationship recruiting is the way that Coach Venables and his staff are doing this. And it's not as much about NIL with them. I mean, obviously there's got to be some NIL money for some of these guys that we're talking about, particularly on that defensive line. We'll get into a little bit some of that before, but I kind of got to thinking about this with the relationship recruiting in view of the fact that if you're thinking Keon is going to be making it, and obviously he gets his work taken care of whenever he gets to Garden City, then you figure that he's going to be coming to Oklahoma. That would be because of that relationship. Now, obviously, that relationship is a two-way street. It's something that Coach Venables has talked about, that he doesn't want you, once you commit, he doesn't want you visiting. He doesn't want you going to other places, that you're committed to, just like you would be, a wife or whatever, he's even talked about it like that before. And the reason I bring this up is obviously you had a JUCO commit that Laney Jenkins, who took a visit to Illinois after committing to OU. They pull the scholarship from him. My question is, what does everybody think about that? Because obviously, we're feeling like Keon's going to be coming back after he plays his season out there at Garden City. But this is a situation where it kind of shows that they're not messing around about that. I think after what happened with Anthony Evans last year, Coach Venables wants everybody to know that this is a hard line, and I just want to know what everybody kind of thinks about that. Start with you, Jay.
Yeah, no. So Laney was over at Butler Community College in Kansas, El Dorado, Kansas, which is another school that Venables knows very well. You gotta remember, Venables is from Kansas, and he knows all of those schools. He played at K-State, he coached at K-State, then Oklahoma, and then Clemson. He hasn't had very many jobs, which tells you a lot about his character as a coach, but he knows those Kansas JUCOs very well. And so Laney was one of those players that he was rising pretty fast, and we thought that, he was definitely going to be something special to get down here. But after he got offered, 6'6", yeah. And after he committed, he set up a visit with Illinois, and that's when they were like, well, we had this conversation that you commit to us, we commit to you, we take a number off our board, we're not going to over-recruit you. And because you decided to you decide that, you want to go visit Illinois who's recruiting you, they had to pull it. Now, Laney probably going to end up in a quote-unquote better situation for him at Illinois because he'll probably, start there. But, yeah, you got to remember, the policy's there for a reason. He wants players that are going to be committed, that aren't going to be full of drama. He wants those that want to be dedicated to the craft and focus, and he'll do everything he can to help them be successful, and if not, he'll help them be successful somewhere else.
Listen, I get it, and that's the thing that I would say. When I read the story last week in The Athletic, when they were talking about this whole thing, and he talked a lot. I mean, he went into detail a little bit more than what I was used to hear him saying. Mm-hmm. He was talking about, you got drama in recruiting, you're going to get it in the locker room. So that being said, Chris, do you feel like this is? But after what happened with Anthony, he let Anthony go. Now, obviously, Anthony flipped. Do you? And I heard somebody say on another show earlier that it was, a double standard there. Do you see that as kind of a double standard there for you, Chris?
Not necessarily. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I don't know if you guys heard all the stories that came out about this, about him potentially, basically saying like, hey, my mom wanted me to set up this visit. I didn't want to go against what she wanted, all the rest of that stuff. So, I mean, I get it, but it just is what it is. I like the policy, to be quite frank with you, simply because I feel like it gives these kids a chance to go and see all these other schools, do all the rest of that. And then if they still feel in their heart of hearts that OU is the place for them, then, they're locking in and all the rest of the stuff. I think it's an unfortunate situation because it's a guy that you felt like, one, it came out of the blue, but two, you still saw what, Venables was saying back during the season or towards the end of the recruiting cycle, was that, hey, we're still recruiting the class of 2023. And we're still looking for those hidden gems, those guys that may have been looked over. So you thought that, okay, coming in with that frame right there, getting in there with Smitty, you thought that, hey, this could potentially be something really, really good. You started hearing about the other offers and all the rest of that stuff that he had as well. But fact of the matter is, don't think it's a double standard or any of that. I just think it's just circumstance. It's just the fact that, another thing that was said was that it was kind of Chavis and a couple of other guys on the staff that were really leading the charge to get the kid, that Venables wasn't convinced anyways.
He wasn't real sure about the guy anyway. He was just something that he was kind of giving Coach Chavis a benefit of the doubt on it.
And so, I mean, when you couple all those factors into it, you kind of see why this happened and why it went down the way it did.
Right. Hey, Coach, what do you think about that? I mean, obviously, to me, I like it, but you are probably going to lose some kids this way, right?
Guys, it's got to be your philosophy. I mean, what do you believe in? And then you got to sell out to it. It's just like anything. And some guys are going to do it that way. Some other coaches are not going to do it that way. What works for you? And as long, I think to me, as long as the players know up front, this is our philosophy and this is the way we're going to move forward in doing this, I think you're fine. But, you know, it can be a double-edged sword for either way you do it. It doesn't matter which way you do it, but it's got to work for you. And that's, to me, that's the bottom line.
That's kind of where I was at on it too, is that, you know, this is more than anything what we've seen. And as you can hear some of these guys coming in, hey, we got the professor coming in here in just a second too. As you hear some of these guys kind of coming in, you kind of look at it as a situation where this is his culture that he's trying to build here. And if you're going to start allowing these kind of things to happen, this is what you get. It's that, you know, you start looking at Texas A&M last year, you know, it was all about the money. They were dumping money in people's lap, and look what happened. They lost as many of those guys as they had coming in, you know. So when you start looking at, you know, you're going to miss out on some of these guys. But I think possibly if your culture is really what it is, the guys that are supposed to be there will be there, right? That's just kind of the way I was feeling about it, and that's where I kind of think that, you know, obviously you don't want to miss out on a guy that's 6'6", 290 and apparently can then rush that edge whenever, you know, Oklahoma had some struggles getting to the quarterback this past season. So that's one of those things that you start thinking of. And then whenever you didn't get, you know, and obviously there's obviously people kind of pouring in on it because of the fact that you had Za'Davion Sims choose Oregon, not Oklahoma this past weekend. I don't know that I ever thought Za'Davion Sims was going to OU at any point. And to be honest with you, I kind of figured that more than likely you were going to end up seeing I almost was like, man, I almost think maybe he shouldn't, because then you don't get Stoney or Williams Nwaneri or possibly, you know, my favorite guy, which is obviously Nigel Smith, you know, and then you still got JJA also, you know. So, you know, but you're seeing a lot of this is kind of, you know, where you're getting some backlash here from some of the fans that are talking about the way that they recruit and do some of that stuff. And speak to that a little bit more on that too, Jay, because obviously some of this stuff is, you know, kind of what it is.
Yeah, that's the game. That's what it is. It's you got to make that decision, and deciding if you want to be committed or not. And I understand people don't like the policy, but and people complain about, you know, the way recruiting is going here at Oklahoma, but we're in the big boy leagues. Go look at the other big boys. I mean, the only one really recruiting heavy, and, you know, it was on with Cody not so long ago with Ty over there at Through the Haze on Around the Table. And if you go look at Bama, they're in the middle of the pack. I mean, I think in April last year, they were in like in the 60s, and they finished with the number 1 class. We were in the 40s, and we finished with a top 4 class. It's when you're recruiting big boys, you recruit at the top. Yeah. A lot of the top players, especially on the defensive line and O-line, they usually don't commit until closer to the season, because they're getting all their visits in the summer. They're doing their due diligence. And that article in The Athletic that Venables had, I was actually reading through a little bit of it. That was the one thing he said. He's like, you'd be amazed at how many people I've told to not commit. Because I'm like, no, I want you to understand the word of commitment, what commitment means. Yeah. This policy is all about commitment. If you're committed to me, I'm committed to you. And then I'm going to take names off my board because of that. So if another player comes up and says, I want to, you know, commit, we won't take them because we've got your spot saved. Now, if you decide that you want to go do other visits, decommit and we'll replace you with that other person. And then at that point, maybe there's a spot later for you. Maybe there isn't, but you need to be at the point that you don't want to do no more visits. Right. Then we can go ahead and
compromise what you're trying to do anyway. And if you start compromising, then you're always going to be compromising. Coach, isn't that what you would say about it? You know, if you start compromising a little bit, you're going to always have to do it. Right.
Absolutely.
Coach, we're having a little. Go ahead.
And you're going to run your program the way you see fit.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
You got to run your program the way you see fit. and not anybody else, not the fan, not anybody else. What's going to work for your program? And once that's established, then you're going to be fine. And you know what, people, guys, it doesn't matter how you do it. People are going to bitch and moan and complain no matter how you do it. So you better find what works for you and do it and stick with it.
Right. Everybody, welcome in the professor, Cody Sprague from FS4 Fanatics as well. He's obviously kind of going through the same kind of stuff there at Florida, which is the team that he covers there. Cody, welcome to the show. I don't know, you kind of heard in on what we were talking about. Obviously, you had Laney Jenkins, a JUCO kid that was transferring into Oklahoma. OU pulled his scholarship because he took a visit to Illinois after he had committed. What's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on that? Obviously, when you're looking for defensive talent, you can understand why some fans will be upset.
Take a big puff of that cigar before you answer that.
Yeah, he's on vacation, man. He's on vacation.
No problem, Coach. We'll do. I don't have a problem with it because when you talk to BV, you know the gist of it. So I feel like that player thought that maybe, hey, I can do what I want. And it may have been not necessarily that he went to Illinois, but maybe he told Brett Venable, I'm locked in with you 100%, and I won't take another commit, right? Or another visit. And
Cody, let me cut you off real quick. You're having a little issue with your mic there. If you want to replace that or something real quick, I'll just. Yeah, and I do feel like that probably. I mean, the one thing we do know, and particularly coming from that, reading that article in the Athletic, is that he is very open about everything. He talked about that. I want everybody to understand this is going to be hard here. This isn't going to be easy ever at any point. So that's one of those deals where what you're getting with Coach, and guaranteed now everybody would obviously know when you start pulling scholarships from guys. There's they should know now that this is serious. And to me, I feel like, again, it's one of those things where if you know that coming in that this is how it is, wait to we were just talking about obviously Sadavion, for him to not be obviously coming now, and that there's been at least, I've heard a lot of stuff that Stoney has tried to commit a few times, David Stone Jr. And I've heard the same thing about Williams Nwaneri as well. As far as I know, I think the same is probably true with at least a couple of the other guys on that defensive line, which is why I'm not as concerned about about this as a lot of folks seem to be. But when you start looking at that, he's sitting there telling people, don't commit if you're going to go. We want you to go on all your visits, right? And so to me, Oklahoma's going to hold up their end of it, but they would rather that you go ahead and get it all out of the way. I mean, you would think with a guy like David Stone Jr. and Williams Nwaneri, these guys are in the top 10 in the country at any position. If you were going to compromise how you feel about it or anything like that, you'd probably do it with those two guys. They're not. He doesn't want them to commit and then still continue to do all that stuff. To me, I feel like that's one of them deals where it's a good thing. Cody, go ahead. Did you get it straightened out?
Yeah. Is that better?
Yes, much better.
Okay. All right. So, you have to, number one, you have to draw the line. And if you're going to be that way, then when somebody steps out of line, unfortunately, it's probably best that it happens to a JUCO transfer than a 5-star. You're letting the table set saying, look, this is acceptable, this is not. And you're telling those big 5-stars, listen, you want to commit here? No other visits. That's the deal. Right?
Yep.
And I think, unfortunately, this kid thought he was better than the program.
Right.
And it's probably better now to find that out than a year down the road, right?
I agree.
So is it a big miss? Is it a big miss? When you look at it, Probably not. Through the whole deal, you're saying, look, this is how we're recruiting, and this is how it's gonna be, and I rather it happen to a JUCO kid than a 5-star, and that's just the outsider looking in, because now everybody knows because of this one player that he cut the tie on. Everybody knows that is not acceptable at Oklahoma University, the University of Oklahoma. Correct?
Right. Yeah.
Everybody can agree on that. So you've now laid the foundation. Well, if I give my word to BV, it's set in stone.
Right. Well,
Or
again,
I
that's
won't,
what I feel like.
or I won't have a scholarship.
Right. Well, that's the whole relationship recruiting thing too. Is that you want to be able to trust in what you're saying. You want to be able for those guys to trust in you what you're telling them as a coach, right? They need to be able to trust you as well. So I mean, it's a two-way situation. It's just like what Matt was saying in some of these. I love it. Commitment is what it is. When I asked my wife to marry me, that's a commitment. I didn't go look around. Name it something else that is a commitment. There's lots of stuff that you do have to commit to. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
listen, it is what it is. But I think that this way, and if the guy isn't fully committed to you, what is he fully committed to what you're doing once he gets here? You know what I mean? If you do let him,
is he going to be a cancer?
Right. And that's why, like I said, in the story in the Athletic, that's exactly what they talked about.
Drama.
Drama. Yeah, drama in recruiting. It's going to be drama in the locker room. It's just not going to change. So it's just to me, it sucks. When you think about it, because that's where when you start looking at the whole situation of what was wrong with Oklahoma a year ago, and I mean we've talked about it at length on this show. Is that, and on all of everybody's show here, that the biggest problem that they had was defensively, and the biggest problem on defense was being able to get pressure on the quarterback and get the quarterback down. Obviously this is a guy that might have been able to help you do that, but again, if you're not committed to it, how much help would he have been? And as far as Zadavian Sims is concerned, listen, man, to me, that's a scholar. If he takes that, then you don't get one of those other guys. You probably don't get either Stoney or Williams Winery. Maybe you get them both, maybe you don't. But to me, I think that JJA is better. We talked to. I mean, everybody knows how I feel about Nigel Smith. I want to see those guys. Those are the guys I would rather see. And then you were talking about on your show this morning there, Jay, about the kid from Louisiana. Is it Hendrickson or
Dominic McKinley?
McKinley. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy's another top 10 guy. Right?
Yeah. He's a 5-star in 24/7, and he's trending. He's warm when it comes to Oklahoma, but he's got everybody wants him. LSU right now he's trending toward,
of course,
but he's one that we're putting the full court press on because he's a monster. 6'7", roughly 290.
Right.
Defensive lineman. Whew.
Yeah,
terrifying.
This is where I would say the folks that are jumping and going crazy in the rooms, and how much of that is somebody else trying to make them look bad, I don't know. But you also have, these guys that are constantly on Coach Bates, and this too was recruiter of the year in 2020. He knows what he's doing, and we said this before. Oh, you wasn't in this room. They were not in this room 2 years ago. They weren't even talking to these kids. They were not being able to be in that room. So to me, guys, if you're one of those folks, and I'm probably not, because none of our audience seems to be those kind of folks, but if you're one of those freaking people that want to fire Todd Bates because these guys in May haven't committed to Oklahoma yet, yeah, what the hell's the matter with you? Stop paying attention to recruiting.
Jason, I say this too, at a place where Oklahoma is at, and my team Florida, you have ripped everything down to the studs, right?
Yes. And
you are building a foundation. If Brent Venable thought this kid may now, after talking to him more, and relationship recruiting was a bad apple or a cancer, right, Coach? When your program is at the very beginning and does not have that foundation 100% established yet, one bad apple can be can be life or death of the program. You don't have the foundation for the guys to say, no, we believe in coach. All it takes, I'm not saying the kid is like that, but I'm saying you're gambling on a kid that's not 100% bought into you when you have to have guys that are 100% bought into you at this time.
You got to stand for something.
Position you are,
you'll fall for anything. That's the whole thing. Is if you're going to allow it now, you might as well just change the policy because you're going to continue to get it right. Yeah, I agree with you.
And then,
agree with you wholeheartedly.
and then it goes to other things. It goes to grades and tardies, and it's just the nasty. And then you're back where you were, right?
That's fair.
And nobody wants to see that.
Yeah.
So I think I think cutting ties early is the best thing to do, and people can be pissed off about it. It is what it is. All coaches do it just because they are top rated on 247 or top rated on the message boards. The kid's a top rated kid doesn't mean he's a top rated kid on Brett Venable's board, and that's what matters.
Right. Well, and what something, and I was going to pass this one back to you guys too. Something that we read in the Athletic is that, obviously him talking about that you're never going to see Oklahoma recruit the same way that Georgia and Alabama and like LSU are able to, that they're probably never going to do that because they're not going to get 5 or 6. You're never going to see them get 15 guys in the top 100 in a given class because they don't want all of those guys. They're not just because they're a 4 or 5 star guy doesn't mean that they're even getting an offer from OU, right? They are going to build relationship wise because, and here's the thing, the reason that Alabama and Georgia are able to do that is because they know that they're going to have a bunch of transfers every season, right? They expect it now. So do you think that plays into some of that too, Jay? Obviously, in view of the fact that he just doesn't know, he knows that he's not going to have a bunch of those guys. You shouldn't have as many transfers, in other words, by doing it this way.
Yeah, no. The thing about it is this staff and a lot of your top staffs recognize that the transfer portal is more of a Band-Aid, less of a surgery, like stitching. You don't use it as stitches, right? You can leverage it to help rebuild some of the players and some of the roster prospects, or at least get the competition going that you need to, have the iron sharpen the iron. But everybody knows that the foundation of your team is built upon players being there 2 to 3 years. You've got to have recruits on top of those transfers. Success out of the transfer portal, we saw what Mel Tucker was able to do. Came in, flipped his roster, did great, and then fell because that season, after he got all those transfers in, he did not get a lot of recruits. Their recruiting class was small. Right. You got to build the foundation. You got to build it right from the bottom up. You got to have the studs.
Yep. And Jay, also, every time you take a transfer, that's a scholarship guy. That's a scholarship that's gone.
Yeah, now it is.
Now it is. So it's a check and balance that you have to do. And Jay, we talked about this a little earlier. We have yet now. It might be a thing. We may have just not seen it. We might have a team, with Florida State or
I'll say Colorado's
USC,
probably the one.
Colorado, we might be able to see a team come in and be a juggernaut a couple years via transfer portal. But we saw TCU try to do that a little bit, and it fell when it came down to the nitty gritty. FSU, we're going to see it this year.
They got to the national championship. I would say that's a successful use of the transfer portal, even though they got 67 hung
Mollywopped. Yeah.
Listen though, but there was a lot of teams that weren't there. You know what I mean?
Okay,
but that's fair.
But when we talk about this, when we talk about building programs, we have not seen one yet establish a constant in the transfer portal like FSU and win national championships. And that's all what we want to do, right? Is to win a natty or 2 or 3 or 4. Absolutely. Can you beat Georgia year after year via transfer portal? It's unknown. It's an unknown commodity. We don't know. But till it happens, we're going to say no, right, guys?
Well, and something that, honestly, Coach, speak about that, because you were talking about this before, that you've talked about this in the past, if you're worried about guys that have been to more than one place.
I mean, again, guys, it goes back to commitment It's about guys' character and the program. You know,
willing to work.
I know that if I'm coaching, exactly what when times get hard, well, hell, I'm gonna go to the portal. A better player comes in ahead of me, maybe. Hell, I'm going to the portal. Come on, guys. Hell, commit to something and let's work at getting better. We talked about Stephen Coleman that played for me at Skyline, that played at OU. I mean, hell, he had guys that came in that were better than he was, but he worked his ass off and he worked hard and he stuck with it and didn't jump out and say, well, hell, I can't do this. I mean, and it boils down to that. You've got to have that commitment to want to stay somewhere and make something of what you've got there. The grass is always greener on the other side. I used to have a picture in my coach's office, and it had a fence, two fences crisscross like this, and it had a cow in each quadrant, and each cow has its head on the other side of the fence eating the grass on the other side of the fence. And hell, that's what the portal reminds me of. Hell, everybody thinks the grass is greener on the other side. Well, hell, stay where you're at, fertilize it, water it, and grow it. And so that's I don't like guys that are transferring, 2-3 times. Hell, I wouldn't take one of those guys. I don't give a damn if he was the best player in the nation.
Now I do ask you this, Coach. Is it different when a new coach comes in and says, "Look, you're just not a scheme fit. We love you. You're great, but you're not a scheme fit. Go ahead and transfer out." That
Absolutely.
You can't dock a kid for that, right?
No, not for that. No, not for that. But you're not going to have a kid that's going to go through 3 or 4 of those probably.
No.
To him.
So the transfer portal is good.
Yes. Oh, I agree. I think it's created, and again, golly, all of us look for a second opportunity sometimes. Shoot, if I could move up and get better, then good. I'm going to do it. If I can improve myself as a person, I'm going to do it. And so if you can improve yourself as a player, but again, there's a balance in there and commitment and also trying to improve yourself as a player.
Right. Hey,
Chris, you don't want a full Tate Marshall.
Hey, Chris, real quick, right here, Sooner Cowboys is talking about, a lot of teams negative recruiting OU, and that's something that Kim was talking about in here too. Do you see that? Are you hearing a lot of that too? I mean, obviously, they've been doing that since Coach V, got here too.
Yeah.
But I mean, is that something that concerns you, or in Sooner Cowboys, is that something that concerns you guys? Is that there's going to be that negative recruiting out there, because that's always going to be out there?
I would say not necessarily, especially when you know that there's other coaches out there who would go as far as telling recruits that, hey, I've heard that this other coach is dying, right? So I mean, it's just the nature of the game, it's the nature of the business. You even
coach is dying.
Yeah, you even heard like text some stuff just from some Texas people that like, hey, look, we're definitely going to recruit against you at key positions like the Cheetah, because why? Because we're going to tell those guys, look at their roster, they're actually loaded there. Look at DB wise, they're loaded there, right?
Sure.
Because he's getting those guys that he feels fits his scheme or whatnot, and so they're always going to recruit against you negatively. And then also when we have the season that we had last year that wasn't up to the standard, of course it's going to happen. So, like I said, to be honest with you, to really hit home with this class and what a lot of people think this could be a historic class for us. A lot of people think the 25 class could be historic for us as well. I think that you got to go out there and just right the ship on the field, to be honest with you, and you'll kind of put a lot of the naysayers to rest, because the thing is that whenever you're able to boast 10 plus wins this season, if that's the thing, then you're able to tell those recruits, look, it was only a matter of time. We're going to the SEC. You're going to come over here and be a part of the chase for 8 and be a part of something historic, or are we just going to have to recruit over you? Because that's just how it is. We're getting to that point. A lot of people see the talent. They see that he's an underrated coach already. It's just the fact that we need those wins to come and translate. But from what I saw.
And how much of what happened last season it kind of led to the recruiting that they were able to do for the 23 class, Chris? I mean, how much do you think that helped?
I think that it played a part, but I think the thing is that it left a sour taste in all those coaches' mouths. They're coming from Venables is coming from OU, winning a championship, being a part of championship
Same
teams,
at Clemson too, yeah.
And then going to Clemson, coming back and being part of championship teams out there. So this is not up to standards. It's not up to par for him. So the thing is that get into when you look at the spring game should epitomize exactly what this staff is trying to do. When you look across the board on that defense, it was a spring game. I'm not going to say that these guys are going to be college football Hall of Famers, but what I will say is that it looks night and day.
It looks night
and day out there. The athletes, the range, the size, the athleticism at different positions.
Absolutely.
The physicality, the aggressiveness.
Color.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot different type of athlete out there. It's like I've said in past podcasts, on Jay's podcast, on Ty's podcast, on my own, you'll hear me say, this is everything. What he's recruiting now and what this team looks like now is everything that Grinch envisioned while he was here. So, I definitely think that has played a part, and I'm excited about this year, to be honest with you. There's a few things, and Jason, we talked about this. There's a few things that need to be, patched up, need to be worked out a little bit. But I mean, I think the sky's the limit for this team this year, but they got to go improve it, and I think that will help kind of silence a lot of the critics on and off the field.
Right. Jay, you got anything else to add to that?
No, I think everybody's spot on with it. It's It's a conversation that we have a lot. We talk about.
You have to trust the process at some point. Kim hit the nail on the head right there. Look,
just relax.
2 years in the top 10. They know what they're doing when it comes to this. I think if they made a mistake in that first season, they probably weren't as aggressive in the portal as you maybe would have wanted them to be, because I think that there was a couple of guys that he had hesitation on. I mean, we've talked about that in the past. But I think that when you don't do that, and you don't compromise what your feelings are and the kind of guys that you want, then this is what you end up with. You end up with the Rondell Bothroyds. You end up with the Jacob Lacey's. You end up with, obviously Deshaun McCullough and everything. These are the guys that you get in, and this is how you sustain it. If you're going to go through the portal, you need to find guys that you don't want a guy that's somebody else's problem. Like, does it surprise you that none of those guys that left Texas A&M were even on his radar? It didn't surprise me at all, 5-star or not. You know what I mean? And so that was one of those things that you have to expect that. Sooner Cowboys, I ain't drinking no Kool-Aid. Got to see it all season, not just against lesser competition. Hey, listen, and that's fair. That's completely fair in my book. When it comes to what they look at, obviously what he's going to be judged on is what they do on the field. I mean, if you recruit great, you expect. The guy had a top 10 defense 8 of his last 10 seasons at Clemson. It's not like he doesn't know what he's doing, right? Bottom line is, but I'm with you on that, Sooner Cowboy. It's fine to have that expectation. I still feel like they're probably a year out. I can see 9 wins. I can see 10 wins. I don't see a national championship in this season coming. I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid. I'm not even necessarily drinking conference championship Kool-Aid. But I do see what you're saying. We thought we were good until conference play, and but what you got to remember though is that it wasn't as bad when Dylan Gabriel was in. They were in every game. They were in every game. They got smoked whenever he got out, and there were little things that cost them 5 games. 5 of
Jason,
them. Go ahead.
When we talk about win-losses, you already get 2 extra wins because you're in year 2 of a BV, right? So logistically, let's just talk. And I know it might bore people, but logistically, let's just talk this for a second. You're up 2 wins because he knows that Tina at the hotel he can count on now to make sure everything is. Guys, when you're a head coach, you're not half the time you're not even coaching ball. You're worried about the hotel, the food. Are all my training staff going to be there? So you get 2 wins just in the
just the fact that you've kind of progressed and the learning curve is not as steep as it was.
Exactly. Yeah. You know who you need to call. You can rely on Tina at the front desk at the hotel. James, you have to call him twice for the food. That 15 you got to call the guy that gets all the pads and helmets ready. You got to call him 3 times. He's great, but sometimes he's a little forgetful, the equipment manager, but he's great. You just call him 3 times before and he's set and ready to go, or 25, you tell him 25 minutes earlier than what the team's going to be there. The logistical aspect of running a football team, you're going to get better in 2 wins, which puts you right kind of where you want to be already.
No doubt. And listen, I mean, Sooner Cowboys backing up what he was saying. He said, I expect 7-5 to 9-3. And then he said, honestly, 8-4. So, I mean, listen,
it's a fair number.
I think 8-4 is the bottom there. I really feel like they're probably more or less that should be their bottom. And I don't think anybody in Norman is going to be happy with. I don't know that they're going to be happy with that with this schedule. But if you're below 8-4, I don't think that anybody's going to be happy heading into the SEC year 3. Chris, you got something to say there? You look like something.
I was just going to say, I mean, from everything that I'm hearing or whatnot, is that inside of the side of the program, they're pushing 10 wins. To anything less than 10 wins is definitely it's not a good thing. I've heard that also about O State from
Okie Light.
Very close friend that's close to the program has told me that they're expecting 10 wins this season. I said 10 wins without Spencer Sanders or what? What's going on? But I said okay, but no, to the point though is that I get what he's saying. I get what Sooner Cowboys is saying, but I just feel like 9-3 at the worst. I think this the schedule is favorable to us. If guys are healthy, and things are clicking. We love to put, and I know I do. I'm guilty of this. We love to put a lot of pressure or criticism on Dillon Gabriel. I'll say this right here: coaches got to clean up some things as well this year. Be better game managers as well to help us get through some of these games, through some of these tough times. I mean, thing is, and adjustments in those key moments. Don't be afraid to make those adjustments. I felt like last year we were a bit too stubborn. Late in ball games, Baylor, West Virginia, Texas Tech for sure. Some games that we should have won, but we were too stubborn to make the. We felt like okay. I felt like we were in a position where scheme is better than what anything that they're rolling out with. And it was just the fact that they just wanted it more, and we didn't make
that. And a lot of those guys, I mean, we've talked about it at length. I mean, think about the times that you saw 2 dudes in the same gap and you got a running back running through the gap that's wide ass open because of it. A lot of it, the scheme is tough. And I mean, this is something that James talks about all the time and him and also Hank, which I haven't seen Hank in here, but they talk about this a lot, that every time, he is taking over a defense, that it's tough that first season. And then that next year they look better. In year 3, it's Katie bar the door. So, that's kind of where I'm at. Now, real quick, and I like this from Kim. He said, name the 4 teams. That's what my question would be to you, Sooner Cowboys, is that because of this schedule, when I look through it, I have a hard time finding else. You could maybe see the one at BYU. I could see that, because that's a tough place to go play, particularly in, October, November. And then you've got obviously the Texas game. They literally only leave the state of Oklahoma 3 times in the entire season. I feel like TCU is going to be one of those games. Obviously, you get them at home this season. Maybe, I guess, if you want to, you feel like Florida or UCF is maybe going to be one of the ones. I mean, that's my question.
Don't forget about Kansas.
Kansas is going to be a tough one, I think so, because they've got the best quarterback in there. But I mean, 4 losses, it's hard for me to see that because I don't see them losing all of these games. These are possible losses. I don't see them losing them all, unless you have some catastrophic happen.
That's the way I am. And you know, guys, and again, I don't have to remind you guys, I'm not a Sooner fan. But I will say that
you don't have to remind us.
You know, it was painstaking
Just
to
friendly
me
reminder.
as I was doing my top. It was painstaking to me when I was doing my top 25, and y'all probably laugh at me when you see it, but I looked at Oklahoma's schedule, and I tell you what, it's great for a great year. It's set up for a fantastic year, and I know the Texas game is always a big one. I don't think that Texas can beat OU this year. I really don't. Kansas obviously I think will be a tough ball game, and I've got the TCU game as a good ball game. But other than that, guys, to me, and I know you said BYU, if BYU's playing well, then they might be all right. But they're kind of up and down too. If they're down, I see 3 tough games on your schedule right. But I see a big season for the Sooners this year.
And that's why I was saying was that you don't have K-State on there, which is a loss. We've lost 3 or 4. Then you had Texas Tech was a loss last year. You would expect them to win that at home this season coming up, but they're not on the schedule. I would suspect, and Okie like Cody can tell me different whenever he gets in here, but these I'm telling you, they're going to beat the brakes off of Okie like this last Bedlam. They're not going to get a chance to beat up on little brother for a long time now. So, I expect that, they're going to win that one too. Now, is that a guarantee? Probably not. But here's the thing about Oklahoma State is that Cody will tell everybody that, that they reloaded with everything that they wanted. And they're, he was in there talking about 4.5 yards a carry and 2,500 rushing yards. I'll believe that when I see it. But then that's coming from him. I suspect that that's not the case, and I think that it sets up well when you have West Virginia was one of those losses. They're coming to Oklahoma this year. I don't know that should happen. It shouldn't have happened a year ago in their house, but it certainly shouldn't happen in Norman. It's like I said, I don't see them losing all the games that there are possible losses or whatever. I think West Virginia is going to struggle. I really do. Cincinnati, I don't know what to think of them. That's an away game. But, I mean, I'm not a big Satterfield guy. And they lost their quarterback, and the quarterback that wasn't even that great. And so without Fickle, I mean, there's just not a lot of excuses, right? Yeah. So, there's old Cody. He says BYU, O State, and K-State. They don't play K-State unless they play them in the conference championship.
Jason, I was so high on them. I put 150 bones for OU to win the conference championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just dropped 200 on them when I was in Louisiana recently. So we'll see how they
go. That's where I'm at now, Jay.
Yeah. Oh, okay, smart. Yeah, I did mine out of New Orleans a couple weeks ago.
I thought that was why I heard all the toads croaking in the background and stuff down in the swamps and shit, huh?
Yeah, in the swamp.
Cool. All right, so here we go. Okay, yeah. So they're not playing K-State. So that's, again, we'll see what happens. And obviously, I'm not trying to overdrink this Kool-Aid either, right? I'm just not doing it. But that being said, because I want to see them come through as well. But, Coach, talk about the last thing, and then we'll move on. What was the difference for you as a first-time head coach to year 2? What was different for you? I mean, was there a huge learning curve that started there, and then it, were you a lot – go ahead.
Hell, it's a whole different world. I mean, you come in from being a coordinator that – all your focus is on the defense, the offense, and you come in. Hell, now you've got to oversee the whole thing. Just like we talked about a little bit ago, and when you're having to oversee the whole thing, and the learning curve is huge. And so there's no doubt they're going to be better from the coach's perspective, because he's got the knowledge under his belt of of that time of being a head coach, and now he's accountable to his assistant coaches and the players, and he's not in there watching film anymore like he used to be. He's getting things ready for ball games, and you get to oversee the big picture. But it's a big difference. Hell, if I would have been smart, I'd have never been a head coach. I'd have just stayed a coordinator and enjoyed the hell out of life. I probably lived longer if I'd have done that.
Coach,
you're living a long, beautiful life now, Coach.
Yeah.
Coach, I ask you this
What's
too,
that?
and that when you say a first-year head coach, but that also counts from switching programs, correct?
Yeah. Sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you switch a program, you're starting over. It's a whole new culture, and you having to come in and create a new culture, which is definitely what he had to do there at OU. I mean, good grief,
Yeah.
all you guys know better than I do what the culture was looking like, and he had to not only be that first time head coach, but he was dealing with a culture, and that's like we've been talking about him making a stand on how he wants to recruit. Well, hell, he's telling you a lot. He's making a statement by saying, damn it, this is the way we're going to do it here, whether you like it or you don't like it. This is the way we're going to do it. So you're learning those things of, by God, this is the way it's going to be done. You don't like it, kiss my ass.
Yeah, and he's been
Well,
doing. It sounds like he's been doing a lot more of that too, from what we're hearing. I've heard where he was chewing up on some of the secondary guys. Is like, hey, I've seen this story before. I've seen this movie, and we're not having it no more. So that's obviously, I think that he's. And listen, this is how Coach V is. He's pretty unwavering when it comes to his stuff, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, we talked about this. Chris and I talked about this on his show right after the spring game. Was that, as far as we're concerned, every spot should be up for grabs after what they did on defense last year. So I was okay with it. You know what I mean? And so to me, I feel like this is a good thing. Let's go ahead and move on, guys. First off, folks, if you're enjoying the content, please make sure that you hit that like button. It's so important to us as content creators that the algorithm picks us up. You got to hit that like button. You guys are doing a great job of talking, obviously interacting with us within the comments. Make sure you hit that like button. That's the most important thing for us. You can always support the show with tips through Venmo, Cash App, or that Super Chat heart. We have the official podcast merch site. Got some cool t-shirts in there you want to check out. Hey, we are almost to 100 days until the start of the season. Make sure that you hit our Fanatic store and get gear ready for the season. Up to 65% off everything in the store just by using our link. So jump in there and take a look at that as well. All right, let's jump into our top 25, way too early top 25 predictions. This is something you guys were asking us for the last couple of weeks, was to get coaches and myself. I decided to get as many guys together as I could. We're going to have a couple of more. Cody from Okie Light, he's in there talking smack, so we'll have his on here as well as soon as he gets here. But we'll go through, and let's start with Cody, the professor from F is for Fanatics. Let me share that again one more time. Oops. Present.
And guys, don't write the receipt on this because
don't.
It's a dartboard.
All right. Here it is. First and foremost, defending champions, Georgia. Let's go with the first five: Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, Alabama. Tell us about your top five, man.
Yeah, well, Georgia number one. They're the kings until you dethrone them, right?
Yeah.
And I think they're just. I don't care what everybody says about not having Stetson Bennett and being depleted in the NFL draft. It doesn't matter to me. It's you beat until you dethrone the Kings. They're on top.
Okay. All right. But what about this? I like it that you had Michigan in front of Ohio State. They've beaten them the last 2 years. You got
Again.
almost everybody has Ohio State there, but you have Florida State, one of your rivals there in the top 5 in front of Bama.
Listen, I'm a realist. Okay, they're locked. They're loaded. If their quarterback can stay healthy, boy, everybody is. And they went into the transfer portal and they got a couple more guys. They're locked and loaded. They didn't lose anybody this year, really. I think that they are there. They're in the ACC. They don't play a whole bunch of competition, not named Clemson. I think they're primed and ready for a playoff run. And the reason why I have them there is just because of the strength of schedule. I feel like Alabama could possibly get a couple losses early. But the marquee game is the FSU LSU game early. And we're going to see if they're the real deal.
Yeah. Gentlemen, got anything to say here as you're looking at it? Let's go. Let's start with USC here at number 6. Really?
Yeah, weak conference. That's the only reason they're that high.
Heisman Trophy winner, weak conference. I mean, it's logical.
Yeah, it's logical. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I get you guys don't like him, but when I stack the conferences up, I think Utah. It depends on their quarterback. He had an ACL tear late. I'm not 100% sure if he's going to be 100% again. So I think it's just a shoe-in for them, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
You're saying it's a weak conference, but you've got 4 inside the. Well, you've got USC at 12 also. Who is it? Which is that? South Carolina?
So, no, I had North Carolina at 12.
20. Nope, that's at 20.
20? Oh, I must have mistyped.
Okay. All right. So who do you? Okay. Well, anyway, Chris, what do you got? React. Come on.
I'm looking at it. USC, as far as USC being number 6, like Jay said, it's logical. I definitely
with the Heisman guy, I get it.
Yeah, with the Heisman guy, with some of the additions that they've made offensively, they're going to be a really good offensive team again. Defensively, I guess the question is that can they actually go quote unquote undefeated throughout this their regular season as far as their conference schedule, excuse me. And I just don't know, because I think they do have trips to, or I think they have Oregon and Utah on the schedule this year, if I'm correct.
They have and Washington, who they did not have on the schedule a year ago as well.
So obviously, I think that it's going to be pretty interesting for them, because they're going to have to lock up with some of these some of the better teams in their conference. This year, and so that should be interesting. Obviously, Caleb Williams, we know exactly what he is, but the thing is that which one of these teams will step up and hit them in the mouth, and then also give it to their offense as well. I mean, their defense as well. I mean, any offense that is physical with that defense and makes them play in the trenches, deep in the trenches, they do not like that. So. That's what I'm kind of looking for with them. As far as Florida State, not just because they beat us. I mean, I'll give them that. Hats off to that. That was a great play. I'm not really bullish on Florida State. I think Mike Norvell has done a great job to kind of switch the atmosphere that was surrounding him, because let's be honest, last year this time we were talking about
it was a little warm, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah. So this year here, I don't know. I think that LSU game will tell us a lot about both teams, how they're going to trend throughout the season, because both of those teams are being hyped up an awful lot. And I think that there are some other teams that are, if not more talented than just what they have coming back and what they've been through and what we know their pedigree as being consistent teams. You look at those top 3 teams, and 4 out of the 5 top teams that he has in his top. I would say those teams are kind of proven. You kind of understand that they're going to be competing for those. Well, Michigan, but you know what I'm saying. But the problem is, I think that there's some other teams that may be just as talented as they are. I like Tulane at where they're at, Tulane and K-State. I think that's respectable. Clemson, I think Clemson's a little bit low. I think Clemson could potentially be one of those teams that, I kind of trade them out with Penn State, to be quite frank with you. That's just me.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I think this is a good list. I know Texas fans are probably kicking themselves right now saying, dang, are we really at 23? Why would we be at 23? But it's Texas,
Because he hasn't won 10 games.
No Oklahoma in there either, bud.
No, he has Oklahoma 18.
Oklahoma's 18.
18.
18.
Yes, he does. Okay. Oh, yeah. OU. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, he's got no Texas. Hey. Attaboy.
I think the reason why I put FSU way up there is obviously the talent coming back, the schedule, but FSU fans are thinking playoffs or get rid of Norvell. I'm just telling you that from as many FSU fans as I'm encountered with.
They have to make the playoff? You think they have to make the playoff, Cody?
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
Minus Jordan Travis blowing his knee out week 1.
Right. Yeah, listen, and I think Travis is good. I think that they have an opportunity to do that. Obviously, the ACC isn't the toughest conference in the country. I mean, they've got some good teams. And I feel like you look at, I should have got our guy JJ from Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen, to talk a little bit about the ACC conference tonight, because we just didn't have anybody to do it. But I'll tell you, I feel like Pitt's probably going to be another rebound team. I think that NC State has been on the verge for the last few years of kind of getting something done there. They were really close to beating Clemson in their house last year, but I don't. And then, of course, Wake, they seem to beat somebody that they shouldn't every year. Yeah. Aside from that, I feel like these two teams should separate themselves this season. If you're Florida State, Miami, I know a lot of people are high on Miami. I know you're not, Professor.
No, golly. Miami is, I'm telling you, and everybody can like Cristobal. I don't think it's Cristobal personally. Coach and I have talked about this. It goes beyond the head coach. I think they have a serious problem in the football program, not named Cristobal.
Right.
Exactly. And we see what they're doing in recruiting right now. It's nothing. And they don't really have a quarterback. They didn't get one last year. They got a 3-star this year. And they got Van Dyke that is not great. I just don't see it.
Right. I understand. I definitely get what you're saying.
But who's the biggest team for you guys that is the biggest question mark?
For Oklahoma, it'd be Texas.
No, out of the top 25, is it TCU? Is it Tennessee? Is it FSU? Who do you guys think is like the biggest question mark of teams that is like
questionable to be in the top 25?
Yeah,
Auburn. Tulane to me is kind of high. I think Tulane's high.
Yeah,
and I only say that I'm curious to what the proven coach. I'm kind of curious what the roster looks like coming back.
Yeah, mine was definitely. I mean, I'm not sure where you've got them 6 or 12 on SC. I don't see them being a top. I don't see them. I think that their best chance to do something was last season, just because I just don't see that them get. They've got a yoga instructor for their strength and conditioning. We know all about how that was, But
they got Bear though. They're winning the national championship. They got Bear in the transfer portal.
Yeah, that's what I hear. He's not playing 70 snaps, bro. That ain't happening. So, so I just don't see it. Auburn, I'm kind of with what a perfect cracker said. Auburn probably. TCU, I could definitely. Yeah, Matt talking about that a little bit. TCU and Tulane, I could see TCU. I've said this a bunch. I feel like they're going to have a big hangover this season. Coach has talked about that a bunch. That. This is, none of those super seniors are back this season. And I just feel like the guys, I think they may have a better quarterback, but I just don't know what they have around him, So I feel like TCU is kind of up for a letdown. When you get 67 hung on you in front of God and everybody, that's tough to come back from. You know what I mean?
So you don't think it's Tennessee?
Tennessee, no. I think Tennessee's on the way up. I think that they're a team that's going to give a lot of people problems this season. I do. Because their quarterback, when you look at what they did in the Orange Bowl, I mean, the backup quarterback came in and lit it up. So, I like them. And I mean, I may be just partial to Josh, but I'm telling you, I think they're going to be pretty good. Let's move. Barrett would take himself out after 60. He might take himself out after 20.
So where does everybody kind of have their self on the FSU deal?
I could see them maybe. I think they're a little high. Yeah, I've got them pretty high up though myself. So I don't have a big problem with it. I could see them beating Clemson. I can. Because the Clemson, even though they've got a great quarterback, they're a guy that everybody expected to be very, very good in Cade Klubnik. We hadn't seen anything from him yet, so we're going to find out. And I think that FSU is. I like Mike Norvell. I think he's a good coach. So I feel like there's they do have an opportunity there. And in the ACC, again, you really, unless you have some stumble somewhere in there, if they can beat Clemson, they should get to the playoff.
Well, in LSU week 1, yeah.
Yeah, and LSU, of course. But even if they lost to LSU, if they don't lose anything else and they beat Clemson, they're going to be in the playoff.
Yeah, they'll be in the playoff. That's why I had them so high.
Right. Okay. Let's move on to Jay. Jay from Unfair Sports. Let's take a look. He's got UGA, Michigan, the Ohio State, same. Bama and Florida State, he's got swapped. LSU at 6, Penn State at 7, 8 Notre Dame, 9 Clemson, 10 Tennessee. Jay, talk to us a little bit about your starting off.
Yeah. I think the big thing for me is that I need to see, and this is the reason why I have Tennessee at 10 and USC at 11, is I need to see what Joe Milton's going to look like. Have they got his arm under control? Right. They've got his arm under control. Tennessee might be more lethal than they were last year. Right. That was the biggest problem, is that he's a gunslinger and he'll throw the ball through your chest, and which means that he'll overthrow your wide receivers regardless of them running 4.140s. So that's how fast he is. So I'm hoping that they control his arm. If they control his arm, I see them moving up the charts. Of course, Georgia's got to be number 1 because they won the title. Michigan beat Ohio State. And they got a returning quarterback, and for the most part, a really good returning roster. Ohio State's moving, doing what they always do best. They're going to be competitive. I think Bama's quarterback controversy may make them drop a little bit more, but we'll see what it looks like under Tommy Rees. Let's put it like that. I have to do a wait and see, but I don't doubt their defense. So I think their defense can keep them top 5. I'm impressed with Florida State. Everybody else may not be. I like Jordan Travis. I like Mike Norvell and what he's doing there. They got Jared Verse to come back after he was going to be a top 10 draft pick. Don't know how you do that. And then they went in and cleaned up in the transfer portal on the defensive line. So if there's one position that I think you can always constantly use the transfer portal for, is D-line. And the reason is you tell them to do one thing. Go get their quarterback.
Yeah, listen. Yeah, you don't have to be. And it's funny you talk about that, but remember what Coach Prime kind of got himself in trouble at the Super Bowl, saying, he was talking about who he wants, what the kid is, or he wants the quarterback, mom and dad in the house, good strong family unit. Same with his offensive linemen, stuff like that. He goes D-line, single mama, scrapping, fighting for everything. He was and I mean it kind of pissed a lot of people off, but I kind of understand it. And so. Yeah, you don't care. As long as they're fighting, scrapping, and clawing, you want them to get to the quarterback, go kill quarterback. That's good. I get it.
I get it, but the only thing you got to be careful with, a lot of those players are those usually the ones that also can be drama or head cases. Sure. Georgia's looking at that right now. They've had 4 players have reckless driving incidents recently. And all so Georgia's starting to and wide receiver was the most recent one. So they're starting to run into those issues. But my point is that if you keep refreshing like that, that's what Florida State's doing. They're getting all of these FCS players that were under-recruited, bring them in, and come to find out they're monsters. It's just because, they may have just been undersized the year before. They got 3 square meals, and then now they're like ginormous. So I like what Florida State's doing. I think that they can continue to keep that going. I think Norvell's doing a good job of keeping his job. But he does have Coach Prime on his heels right now. Coach Prime is stealing players from there, and that will be the job he would take. He would leave Colorado in a heartbeat for that job.
If you listen to the FSU crowd, there's like, oh, that's all our guys that ain't starting anyway, ain't gonna be playing anyway.
Everybody says that about any transfer that goes out the door.
Don't forget about the big transfer from South Carolina they got and tied in Jakeem Bell.
Yep,
that did everything over there.
That was big. That dude was a stud too, man. Jakeem is good.
That's my point, man. That he's doing a good job of bandaging spots, and they're still recruiting very well. That's the thing I can give them. They're doing it the right way, doing it both ways. But then from there, LSU. I mean, Brian Kelly's not going to have another. He's going to continue to keep going up. Penn State. James Franklin somehow does it. He may get double-digit wins again and lose games that he shouldn't. But Franklin seems to do it.
Is this a big season though? Is this a big season for him? Does he need to get
this
into the
might be
playoffs,
the
you feel
year
like?
he has to do something in the he has to win the Big Ten, or at least go to the Big Ten championship game. He has to get there. Problem is he ain't getting past Michigan or Ohio State, and Penn State wouldn't be stupid enough to fire him. You don't fire guys getting 10 wins a season. And Penn State understands themselves. They recognize who they are. That's the one thing I can respect them on. They're historical, but they know who they are. Yeah, we got 100,000 foot a seat stadium, but we're not going to think that we're too high and mighty to have a coach that can consistently keep us competitive. Eventually, they'll break through, maybe 1 year. But, yeah,
I agree with you.
I think they know who they are. So that's about it. Clemson's they got their quarterback. And then USC, I wanted to put them 10 instead of 11, but they got the Heisman Trophy winner. They've had some refreshes in the portal. Their class wasn't all that good, and that's the thing that concerns me. Is their recruiting class wasn't that good last year that it should have been.
This is what he does. Okay, Chris, get it. Let's reaction. Since you didn't give us one, react.
I still think FSU is too high. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I'm gonna ride with it because Jay's my guy. South Carolina being in there, I thought that was really interesting.
South Carolina.
I think I'm kind of up and down. They lost their offensive coordinator. They lost some pieces on the offense, a running back,
but they still got your quarterback.
I know they still have Spencer, but at the same time, I don't know.
Your quarterback.
I think Wisconsin being in there, I think that's really interesting as well. Are we giving them way too much credit because of the Fickle effect, or are we just
Absolutely.
And Phil Longo. I think Phil Longo also. I think that they when you go to a Big Ten that's as trash as this Big Ten is, I like it. I think they could be higher.
I don't think that their roster was bad last year. I think they were just poorly coached. And I think Fickle can walk in there with what type of talent Wisconsin has gotten consistently over the years and turn them into a team that can at least be ranked.
Yeah.
I think just putting a spread team into the Big Ten helps because they don't see it all season except for maybe once in Ryan Day.
The only question I have with Wisconsin, and my dad's a alum and booster for Wisconsin, and he says the same thing. They lost Jim Leonard as DC. That puts historical top 5, top 10, top 15 defenses together every year, no matter what they recruit. They lost him. So we talk about more points with the spread, but is the defense going to be as good as what a historic Wisconsin defense is usually? And that's my only question.
Guy. Fickle is a defensive guy, though. That's the only reason. So you're right, Cody. That was my question when looking at them losing Leonard like they did. But the one thing that came back to me was Fickle's a defensive guy. So if he can go in there, I mean, he did it with Cincinnati with the talent they were able to pull. If he's able to get them going at Wisconsin, man, they could potentially be something.
And let's be real about Cincinnati. They are getting the scraps.
Yep.
The scraps of what Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State doesn't want, right? That whole Midwest area. They are getting the scraps of what's left over after the big schools go in and yank all the good talent out of it. Not good talent, but easily evaluated talent out of there, right?
Hey, did you see this comment here? Jay's this guy until Jay's got to play pops and break up K. Chris and Nino.
James knows, man. I'm always breaking him and Nino up, man. I got him and Nick always fighting, man. I'm the parent when it comes to that.
Where did Jay? Where do you have LSU?
I got LSU at 6.
I like that. Yeah,
it's a Brian Kelly piece, man, and he's doing a good job recruiting Louisiana.
And they don't lose their quarterback. So, yeah.
Daniels is back.
I think that FSU and LSU, I think that's going to really solve it. That's going to resolve itself. I think that's one of those teams. They play game one, and then after that, I don't think both teams are going to be able to say, "Oh, yeah, that's a good win. We're going to continue to win." I think you're going to kind of see the trajectory. I'm sorry, I was distracted by this guy with this O State flag behind his head.
Yeah, hey, yeah. Let's welcome in little brother Cody Stovall from Locked On Oklahoma State. He is a friend of the program as well, even though he wears a lot of orange. Yeah. He is a friend of ours. So, welcome to the show, Cody. We will get to
the wrong color orange of that.
So.
Right.
So hey, look, guys, I'm rocking half neutral. Come on now. I'm here for you.
Yeah, those new jerseys are hideous, but I would say that
here, bro, you are crazy.
I would say that FSU and LSU will solve itself. I think Penn State is way too high, Jay. I mean, Penn State is way too high. You got to have those guys in their teens at least. Tennessee is the kind of the dark horse out of the top 10, to be honest with you. They intrigue me, but I mean, Jay, we've talked about this plenty of times. It really is all on Joe Milton this year. I mean, I don't think you're going to see you don't have to see Nico if Joe Milton is balling out, but if he's not, then they're going to be calling for his head. Joe Milton, to me, I like the confidence, man, but it's just like you're doing shows with Good Morning or whatever, that morning show is on the NFL Network. You're doing all these appearances and all the rest of this stuff. And son, you haven't really cut the mustard while you've been in college. So I'm eager to see what's going to happen with that. One other team, coach is probably not going to like this, but Notre Dame, I don't know. People are loving on Notre Dame an awful lot. They finished the season.
Got a quarterback. Well. That's all they needed.
Well, yeah.
We still got all those 5 wide receivers. We still got all of those pieces. Brew McCoy is still out there too.
I asked this about Tennessee guys. Is it going to be tougher for Heupel because now that all the SEC coordinators have played them and know what kind of what they're running? Do you think you see maybe a downgress in offensive firepower? Not firepower, but productivity.
Well, I don't know because hell, he lost the offensive coordinator, so it may he may have.
Yeah, but it's Heupel's scheme. It's Heupel's scheme. Don't get twisted.
And the OC is
it's still
Joey Halsey
coming in. He may have a different spin. I mean, hell, that's
no. Joey Halsey is his the former OU quarterback who was back up. Worked underneath Heupel at OU. No, it's the same scheme. Everything's the same.
But do you see maybe a small production backwards, and maybe they need that a little bit to keep the defense off the field a little so they can catch a breath?
That's a fair question. My thing with Tennessee and everything I've been paying attention with them is it's all on Joe Milton. It's going to be based upon if they've calmed his arm down. Now, when Nico comes out there, that's a different story in a year or two. The offense will flourish again. Kid is absurd. He's absurd. He's an absurd. I thought if he had the highest ceiling of all the quarterbacks in the last class. He's
not Arch Manning?
Talented. No.
not number 1, 5-star plus overall.
Nico should have been number 1. Nico should have been number 1 in my personal opinion. But
how'd Arch make it then? No, I'm joking.
You know the game. But I think that if Joe Milton can calm it down, that with that rocket. And Joey
I like Joe Milton.
Heupel has has worked in the lab with him at quarterback. Mm-hmm. I don't think Tennessee sees a regression because Joe Milton can run too. He's the size of Cam Newton. He's a big dude.
Question.
What had the quarterback from last season done before he got to Josh?
Fair point. Yeah, Hinton Hooker didn't do much at Vitech. Well, he was okay. He was okay. Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. He wasn't very good.
Well, you say the same thing about Daniels at LSU, right? It's kind of the same deal.
Fair. Yeah, you're right.
It is. I feel like that's the whole deal. Is I believe that I think Tennessee's going to take a step up. Cody, you've been looking at this. Cody Stovall, what do you think about this this list here? And then we'll move on to yours.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't have a lot of argument with most of it, but obviously, I looked at it from a different perspective. People have kind of been talking about the scheduling, and yeah, if you look at the schedule alone, there's a lot of viable reasons why a crap ton of ACC and Pac-12 schools would essentially be ranked because they're going to eat each other up, and there's not a lot of losses running around.
Aside from those, yeah, you've got those couple of good ones, and then they're really bad. Aside from that, is what you're saying.
So the records this year, I think, in some of the conferences are going to be a little bit misleading. But I mean, other than that, I understand the logic behind most of it, because if you are looking at it from a wins and losses perspective, then clearly it does matter. But I viewed it from just best team, right? I tried to take the schedule completely out of the equation and tried to just do 11 on 11, 22 on 22. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it. I would say I actually don't mind this one so much. As you'll see where I'm at here in just a few minutes, but I don't think I'm a ton off on some of this as far as where Jay's at with it. So, yeah, let's go back to yours. I got to get to the right one here. Cody Stovall from Locked On Oklahoma State. Again, welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us, man. I know you had stuff going on, so appreciate you joining us even late and getting me your list. So
I appreciate you, and I appreciate you guys being patient. It's an honor to be here. I'm ready to rock and roll. And dude, hey guys, like I've been listening to the whole daggone thing. So if we want to go back and we want to talk about Garden City and Tyreek Hill, I mean, I'm down. I'm just here for y'all.
No, listen, and I mean, obviously, Garden City, I think, is going to work out. I mean, it's obviously the onus is on Keon Brown to do his thing. You know what I mean? He needs to do his thing. They made a commitment to him. Bro, obviously, I think that OU could step out of that and not have a problem. You know, nobody would probably say otherwise. But they made a commitment to him, and they're trying to let him hang around for it. I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
And Coach and Cody also brought up excellent points, right? When it comes to the commitment thing, I don't have a problem with what Brett Venables did. It's ironic.
Oh, on Jenkins.
Yeah. But the irony of all that stuff is Mike Gundy did the same thing last year, and he got chastised like crazy for it. And now, a year later, a lot of people are like, well, yeah, that's a good move. It's because these kids don't understand what the word commitment even means. You mentioned marriage. It is pretty comparable, right? That's precisely what it is.
No, he's mentioned it before. That's why I brought it up. It's because he said it a bunch.
In society today, it's the same thing, right? The kids have this predisposition.
Divorce is pretty big in society today, too.
Yes, it is.
Well, guys, also, too, it's like, when you say commitment, and you don't even have to say marriage, it's like when Shelton called me and asked me to be on High Top, I made a commitment to him that I would do my homework every week and really try to add to the show and help him out with stuff.
Speaking of which, by the way, congratulations on that, Cody. And High Top, if you folks are not subscribers to High Top Sports, and F is for Fanatics, but if you're not subscribers to High Top Sports, you're missing out. I mean, they are a bunch of crazy Gator fans, but it is one of the best shows on YouTube, period. I enjoy it. I mean, I watch it every week. Love the show. The professor has added something to that as well. If you, I'm telling you, what was it? What was your number 21 out of 32 that you hit in the first round of the draft? And I mean, Mel Kiper hit one of the 32 in the draft. So
yeah, he's making a lot more money than I am.
Sure is. So, hey, and there, look at there. We've got Sean is trolling as always, committed to this toxic relationship with the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. And we are so glad that you are, Sean. I enjoy you being here, buddy. And you're right about UGA's schedule. Let's get back to this real quick, and then we can go back to this commitment stuff. UGA's schedule is trash, and I agree with you. But in view of the fact that they are defending champions, I don't have a problem with any of these guys picking them number one. We'll see where I'm at on it, but yeah, their schedule is definitely trash. It would have been a little better. They would have been playing Oklahoma. Oklahoma's schedule is trash aside from the conference too.
At Georgia, the only team they play is Tennessee.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much.
No,
they do have to play South Carolina. They're going to play Florida. We're going to find out whether Florida is any good. I don't know that they are.
Listen. That's one of those games, though. It's like Texas, Oklahoma. It's always a dogfight. You just never know what's going to happen.
The one thing I'll say about Florida is that, kind of like Oklahoma, a lot of those games last year that they lost were one-score games.
3 points or less. Yeah.
So, and you would think that, if Billy is the guy, you would expect to see him take a step forward this season. We'll see. And he's done really well in the portal the last few weeks, hasn't he, Cody?
Yeah, done well in the portal. And the wide receiver speed he's brought back to Florida. I don't know if they're building an Olympic 4x4 team or a wide receiver room. I'm not sure, but they're all just elite Olympic speed that he's out there getting, recruiting, and has got last year. And listen, I didn't have Florida on my top 25 because they got the fourth hardest schedule in the nation again. Right. And it is what it is.
They have a really hard schedule, man. They start off on the road at Utah. That's not an easy place to go play. Guaranteed.
And you know how hard it is to put FSU at number 4 as a Florida fan? It takes a lot of a lot of inflection.
Hey, bro, that was hard. I know that was hard for you. Cody, let's talk about your top 10-ish, and you can talk about any of them that you want to, but let's just run through it. Georgia, LSU 1 and 2, Ohio State over Michigan, which is at number 4, Bama, Notre Dame at 6, Florida State at 7, Tennessee 8, USC number 9, Penn State number 10. We'll start there. SC is way too high, but go ahead. Let us know why you picked the way you did.
Well, I mean, like I said, I tried to take the schedule out of the equation. Last year, whether you love them or hate them, you brought up USC, so we'll go there. Lincoln Riley is a great offensive mind, right? We knew that going into the season. We knew that at OU. We knew that Caleb Williams was probably going to put himself in a good position to win the Heisman. That is precisely what happened. But the deficiency that USC had, obviously, was defensively. And I got to give kudos, give props where props are due. They did go out in the transfer portal, and they did a very good job of bringing in a lot of really high-caliber defensive guys. So if they're able to produce the same amount of offense, and then the defense is as improved as it looked like it can be, and then you do take the conference into consideration to some degree, because, again, winning the Pac-12 is like, being the world's tallest midget, right? It's the same exact concept. But just from a talent perspective, I will admit I think USC did a very, very, very good job in the transfer market, especially defensively. And another one that I think a lot of people I may have too high would be obviously Notre Dame, right? But is Tyler Buchner going to do anything at Alabama? I don't know. I don't think so, right? We'll see. Yet to be determined. Alabama has the luxury of being surrounded with a bunch of potential NFL guys. So your quarterback at Alabama doesn't have to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. But we all saw or heard what Sam Hartman did in the spring game. Sam Hartman looked exactly like the guy at Wake Forest, as in the transfer of talent deficiency was not a problem for him, right? So I'm very high on Notre Dame. The players absolutely love Marcus Freeman. And anywhere you go, if the players are buying into whatever you're selling, no matter what it is, then you're going to be successful, right? You're going to be productive. If the coach isn't bought in, then the players aren't going to buy in. Then you have a cancer in the locker room, and then you end up having a 6-7 win season. That's how that happens typically. When you have a lot of talent, right, and you find a way to piss it away, it's typically because of nobody buying in. And in Notre Dame, everybody is bought into Marcus Freeman 100%.
But how is USC in front of Utah? They beat
Because
them
Utah's
twice, bro.
trash, dude. Utah, get the hell out of here, man. I'm so tired of hearing about Utah.
It's because you hate Utah, is what it is.
The
It's the whole
knee-
Big 12. It's the whole Big 12, Pac-12 thing. That's what it is.
Listen,
It's not.
Listen, Linda.
Utah-
Look at Linda. Cameron Rising is a
Look
good
at
athlete.
Linda.
He's a good
But
dude.
he's got a blown knee.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. So who's going to be their guy? Is Brandon Rose going to be the guy who leads them to 11?
Cam will be
12+
back,
wins?
bro.
No,
Cam will be
probably
back.
not.
He's gonna be back. Stop it. Stop
We
it.
need to stop
Cody.
it.
Cody, I do ask you this: high on LSU?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think Brian Kelly is a big old goofball, right? He's a massive bag of weirdness. But I believe in Jalen Daniels. Now, you guys mentioned earlier, sometimes there's a reluctancy in a coaching staff when you have somebody who's transferred multiple times. And that's very true. So it is kind of, tied back into the commitment type of thing. Is Jaden Daniels committed to anything other than himself? Well, he hasn't shown that thus far, but productivity has not dropped off. Jaden Daniels will continue to produce. The SEC is known for a defensive league, but ironically enough, you're talking about a team that has the ability to put up 32, 37 points a game on a regular basis. Their defense is going to get better. They also have somebody else coming back from the ACL, that Smith guy, right? So they're going to get healthy at the right time. And their linebacker, that Perkins dude, is an athlete.
My God.
Yeah.
World beater.
So, yeah, guys, we can fire away. I'm having fun with this. I love it.
Okay.
I'm very high
I'll tell
on
you.
Tulane. Their quarterback
Coach.
coming back is massive for them.
Get him, coach. You go ahead. Start.
Oh hell, I really like what he did here. I think
No, I don't have a big problem with this list, really, to be honest.
I think it looked really good, and I as much as I hate to admit, Brian Kelly is a hell of a football coach, and he came to Notre Dame and took us out of the tank basically, and I know he's goofy and he's selling the people at LSU with his new what am I looking for here?
Accent.
Well, it's not as
They
bad
love
as
it.
Tom Herman. It's not as bad as Tom Herman kissing everybody.
Yeah. So, but no, I think that I know that's high, but I think that's a good place for him, and I agree with you. I think I think Bama and deservingly so. You have them at number 5. I think they're a little high just from the perspective of I know what kind of shit they got as an offense coordinator. And I've lived that for a while now. So
I knew that was coming. That's why I called on you.
Hey, Coach, do you think that Tyler Buckner is likely going to win that job? Because I know that 5-star Milrow guy was not
trash.
Well, I tell you what's really interesting. I mean, if Tyler Buckner is their best quarterback, guys, and you'll see, I've got them down at number 7 because of that very thing. I'm not an Alabama fan, but I am a Nick Saban fan because of the way he does his job.
The offense really doesn't change. They still run everything that he wants to run either way.
Yeah, but he's not calling every play. And I tell you what,
right?
If you watch Buckner call a game, he's pretty damn incompetent.
Right. Or Tommy, are you talking about Tommy calling?
I mean,
yeah, and he's losing his shit up there in the freaking press box, and
I do ask you this, guys, with Alabama. How many wins they get just because they literally out-athlete the other team on the field?
80% easily.
Yeah.
I was trying to get
tell you what, guys, I'm going to say this, in the first time in a long time, Alabama's got to play a football schedule this season. It's not all patsies this year. They got to play Texas, which again, I don't know how good they're going to be, but
they'll blow it.
They got A&M.
When you're
they've
talking
got
athletes,
Tennessee, and they have LSU that beat their ass last year. So they've got 4 ball games on the schedule that in the past they've had to play a couple instead of playing 4 tough ball games.
Yeah.
What I would say is that they won the 2 games they lost last year were by 1.
Right.
But they had Bryce Young playing quarterback. Their quarterback situation, if they're not better than this at quarterback, and if they're not able to run for 2,500, 3,000 yards, then what happens? Because I don't know that this. I mean, will the defense be better? Probably, because it's it's a familiar face running the defense over there. But I'm telling you, just like what you were saying, there are some losses on that schedule if that could rear their head. I'm not willing to say that it's definitely going to happen, because you got to actually go and do it. When it comes to Texas, listen, Texas should win the game, but they should have won the game last season too.
But it's early. You can beat Alabama early.
I agree.
If you're talking athlete on athlete, Texas does match up with 90%.
They do. They sure do.
Yes,
and you can beat them early.
And
but when it comes to making halftime adjustments, Sark isn't going to do that.
And if Tyler Buckner's quarterbacking, you can guarantee probably 3 picks.
Well, they've got that running back whose dad played at Georgia.
I mean, really high on. Is Bama really in some serious trouble not making the playoffs again?
I think so.
But yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah,
because say they get through that schedule that they've actually had to play for the first time in forever, not playing the school of the blind or whoever. Guess who's on the other end of that? Georgia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and they still got to play Tennessee. They're going to play Tennessee again. They're going to play LSU again. Listen, LSU beat them last. I mean, obviously they got to go to Tuscaloosa this time, but I could see multiple losses here. I don't think has he ever had more than 2 losses? Has he ever had more than 2 losses in a season since aside from that first season? Aside from
I don't know.
I don't think he has. I will. We can finish up with that though. Just make sure that I throw that out there.
Are any of y'all high on Penn State?
I am not as high on Penn State. I think that
they're average.
The dude is. I think that the dude doesn't get it.
Yeah, they're average, but with who they play and the way that they always seem to have that a little bit of notoriety, they get the bump. I think they're always in that top 15 area for them.
Yeah. I agree.
And you know what? Their coach is fine with that. He's not getting fired there, like we talked about earlier.
Nope. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like Mike Yurcich a little bit.
You like what?
Only people.
Mike Yurcich.
Okay.
Offensive coordinator.
Right. Yeah. Listen, I feel like they better win something this year, but I don't think that they are. I just don't. I haven't seen this guy do it, man. I haven't seen him do it yet.
You got FSU a little lower too, Cody.
Look at their schedule.
Yeah, I am not.
Ohio State and Michigan, and that's it.
That's it. Well, I agree that's it, Coach. But if they don't beat either of them like they didn't last year, then what's the best they can do? They can go to the Rose Bowl, I guess, again.
Yeah. No,
and play whatever crappy Pac-12 school there is in there.
No,
another 9 or 10 win season.
But I want to see more out of Franklin at this point. The dude's getting paid more than anybody else.
Yeah, but I mean, really, it doesn't matter to them. They know where they're at.
Yeah. Sean, by the way, bravo for this one. Yeah. Texas, the dude in the locker room with the baby arm between his legs, but has erectile dysfunction.
Is there any wild teams you got on there that nobody really had?
On my,
I tell you what I do like. I like Texas Tech up there at 20.
Yeah, I've reckoned Tech at 20.
Yeah, I like that.
That's ballsy. That's a bold move, Cotton.
Yeah. Well, we were I was talking about buy-in earlier. You guys already know. Yeah. The buy-in for Joey McGuire is flipping insane. Man.
I agree with you on that.
Absolutely.
I like Joey myself.
Tyler Shuck is a good quarterback. Nobody gets to see him. He was a good quarterback at Oregon. He just cannot get healthy. But why I'm so high on him is their backup, I think, is the best up-and-coming quarterback in the Big 12.
Yeah.
You got Ole Miss on there at all?
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. I got Ole Miss high.
Yeah, okay, so I wanna point that one out. Sean said here, if Spencer
I got
Sanders
Ole Miss
starts
at
at Ole
11,
Miss, you
baby.
can forget about that ranking. If Spencer Sanders starts there, you can forget about that ranking. That's old Sean the Troll. He always
Bro,
says
here's the deal.
This
Here's
is
the
why we
deal.
love him.
And this is exactly why I have them at number 11. It's because of Spencer Sanders. And it's the same situation. It's the same situation that we just talked about with Texas Tech. Their backup quarterback is going to be very, very good, right?
Jackson
so they're
Dart.
in a 1A, 1B situation. But
I think they're in a good situation there. And I
but
think that he
the
probably
problem-
settles down under Lane Kiffin, becomes and gets better. I do.
Nah, it's not a settle down. He won't settle down. He's a gunslinger. It's what he is. That's who he'll be. The difference is
Lane will put him in a good position to
exactly.
do well.
We were always trying to pull the reins back on Spencer in the fourth quarter. Lane Kiffin won't do that. Lane Kiffin will let him air it out. And I've said this 1,000 times. If the interceptions are a problem, correct? Yes. But if you throw 65 touchdowns, I don't give 13 shits if you throw 15, 16 picks. Right?
Yeah,
it's a numbers game.
And guaranteed neither does freaking Lane.
Lane don't care.
Yeah, exactly. So we were always holding Spencer Sanders back. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face because I know it's 100% fact.
Yeah.
Right? I had a fly on the wall for all of that conversation. I know precisely how that went down, and we mismanaged Spencer Sanders. It's a fact. It is what it is. I do think Lane Kiffin will be that quarterback whisperer, kind of like OU was with Jalen Hurts, right? That's what I see happening, and that's why I have them so high. And I believe in it, man.
Boy,
I believe in Ole Miss hardcore this year.
That might be the best coaching job in the SEC.
Yeah, you ain't wrong.
Ole Miss, no pressure.
Cool.
Damn it.
Yeah, cool. Kentucky and Ole Miss are the two best jobs.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Hey, dude, where'd the other guys go? I scared them
They
off.
had to. You ran them off, dude. It's just they can't stand
Oklahoma.
No, it's not that. They had to. One of them had to go pick up a kid. The other one had to check on pregnant mama. So they'd been on for. We're at 150 now at this point.
Yeah,
so I get it.
Sorry about being late.
No. It ain't about that. We talked about literally we talked the entire time. So it wasn't. This is what we do here. So it's all good. Now let's go ahead and move on though to we'll go with Adela here. And you guys just talk about the few that she did. She had oral surgery today as well. So I'm glad she's even in our audience today. Thank you so much, Adela, for giving us 12.
That's a champ.
And look at there. She threw up a boomer. Here we go. OU, Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, K-State, TCU, USC, Tulane, Ohio State. That was probably my screw up there. Michigan, Oregon, and the Shorthorns. Hey, she put Shorthorns, bro. So you got
Adela, you're killing me. The Shorthorns and no Irish.
No Irish. Oh, hey, she did have oral surgery. Maybe it's the drugs. Maybe it's the drugs.
I was about to say,
we love you. We love you, Adela, but I think those drugs are affecting you a little bit on this pick.
If I put out that list, I'd say I had surgery too.
Easy. Be nice about Adela now.
We love
ain't
Adela.
having it.
She's
awesome.
You
better back up there, Cody. Okie like Cody. Don't do it, bro.
You said we could have fun. Come on now.
You can have fun, but don't go crazy. That's my girl there. All right.
Go crazy. Look at the daggone thing.
So which one? All right. So then talk to her about it. Tell her. I screwed something up.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Let's start with number one.
Yeah. Is this supposed to be a real logical conversation, or are we having fun? That's where I'm confused now. Because if we're having
no FSU, no LSU.
If we're having a real logical conversation, there is no conversation here. Come on, man.
Okay. So no OU number one. Hey, listen, that one, I would agree with you on that part. Because
I love K-State. I have K-State going to the Big 12 title game, but 5 is a little high for me. Right. Everything else I can get down with. OU, K-State.
I can't handle the Horns with 12.
Oh, no. I forgot about the short ones part. Yeah. Well, dagnabbit, coach.
Listen, though, here's
glad
the thing, though. She's not wrong about where there should be, because they should be there.
No,
right?
Texas
I mean,
is
it's the
actually
thing.
going to be pretty good. That's
Yeah,
I was
they
about
should
to
be
say.
good.
I'm glad.
It's whether they will be or not is another story. But
I'm
are they
glad.
ranked where they should be right now? Yes.
I'm very glad I'm on your show, because I don't think I can admit this on my show, but Texas is going to be pretty good.
Texas, you say that, except for here's the reason why I'm going to tell you I'm not positive of that. Okay, and it's as simple as this. Fact is that Sark is terrible at making adjustments, and he's going to have to make some adjustments at times, just like he did last year. He should have beaten the brakes off of Oklahoma State in their house and blew a 17-point lead. This is what he does. The first year he had 6 halftime leads and lost them all in a row.
You're not saying that's the Gundy magic?
No, of course not. It wasn't the Gundy magic.
I had
it
to.
was the Sark magic. It was the Sark magic.
Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is,
no, you're good. I appreciate it. I love it.
All I'm gonna say about the Shorthorns is prove it up. That's it.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, they're always like Miami. They're back until they get blown out by somebody, and then they're not.
Listen, I get it. All right, I'm gonna have to reshare this because
Texas
I screwed
showers, not growers.
I love it, dude. My guy.
That's funny.
Somebody said I'll throw a turkey leg at somebody. No, I got one better. I'll throw a big ass prosthetic leg at somebody. How about that?
He has one. Don't be careful. Be careful. He's not lying. He will do it.
100%.
This is awesome. All right. I'm gonna have to reshare. Let me do that real quick. Oh, stop, and then reshare here.
And she had Oregon up there pretty high. I don't mind it, right? I understand the talent. I understand the recruiting, but
Bo Nix is back.
Bo Nix is, dude. Bo Nix reminds me of Spencer Sanders at O State. Does a lot of really cool, highlight, crazy stuff, but he will fuck up a game real quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yes, he will. Yes,
and that's the one that you need to win.
Yeah. Yep, 100%.
Yeah. I'll give you that. All right. Here is the coach. Everybody's been waiting on the coaches' rankings. Here they are. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Florida State. Number 3, Michigan. Number 4, LSU. 5, the Irish. 6, OSU. 7, Alabama.
Don't
8,
say that.
OU.
Don't do that. I saw what you did there. Don't do that.
TOSU. What? TOSU. Sorry. 7, Alabama. 8, Oklahoma. 9, Clemson. And 10, UW. He's got USC behind UW. I love it. I love it. Coach, tell us about it. Why?
Well,
Talk
let
to us about where you had it.
Let me preempt this with a couple of things, guys. Number 1, coaches hate friggin' polls. We hate the friggin' polls. I don't give a shit if you're ranked number 1, your team's ranked number 1, or you're ranked at the bottom. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, what's your resume at the end of the season? That's what we're looking for, is that resume at the end of the season. So I'll preempt it by saying that. And also, I picked these I put all the names in my Notre Dame cap, and I pulled them out one at a time. And so that's how I came up with this top 25. Okay. I think a lot of it's already been said about all of these teams that we're talking about. Now, I guess I must, Adela, thank you for sending me some of those drugs, because I have Washington on here twice, 10 and 18. But at number 18, that should be Tulane instead of Washington.
Oh, another Tulane lover.
Yes, sir. I sat and watched.
Yeah, I like them.
USC's ass last year, and I loved it. And so
Willie's a coach. He ought to be at Okie Light.
I'd love to see that move up. I'd like to see them move up a little bit. But I tell you, and I tell you, a team I left off of here too is Texas Tech, because I really think that Texas Tech is going to be a team that's going to surprise some people. And I agree with the
Well, you can
statements that
move
were
them into
made
one
earlier.
of your Washington places. So where would you put them at 18?
Well, I know I'm going to leave Tulane at 18. I take Auburn out and put Tech at 25.
Okay, yeah, that would be my only real argument with this. I don't like Auburn right away. I think that they get better year 2. I don't like them immediately. I don't think that they're going to do all that.
I'll put Tech there. But going back and looking, guys, and obviously at number 5, I've got the Irish. That's in my heart. Just like Adela had in her heart, her Sooners at number 1. I get it.
Guys, here's the deal about that. But Sam Hartman, all they really needed was a freaking quarterback last year.
Yeah, no, and we had the conversation earlier about that first year coach getting all that stuff out of the way, and so I just really think that we're in a good place now. We didn't need a quarterback. Glad we sent our best one that we had last year to Alabama, and let's see what they can do with him. I hope they fall and burn and crash, crash and burn, something like that, one before the other. But again, I tell you what really pained me, guys, was putting Michigan at number 3, because I am not a Michigan fan by any means. Obviously, been an Irish fan, but Ohio State, guys, I still don't think they're that good. We played them last year. We should have beat them last year, and we weren't real good. And so I tell you what, for our Oklahoma fans out there, I got Oklahoma at number 8. And
hey, man, I'm giving it love.
And you know what, guys?
I'm higher than I do.
I'm not just going to put Oklahoma at 8 because I'm not the fan, but I'm trying to look at this realistically. I think they've done the right things. They're doing the right things, and I see them coming back strong this year, and doing very well. I really do. USC, I don't like quarterbacks that paint their fingernails. I just
hey,
I don't.
And you also have them in front of Utah. That's where I'll give you shit at. You also have them in front of Coach Witt in Utah.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The question is the quarterback for Utah, if he's going to be okay.
I think that's fair. That's fair. We'll see if he's back or not. If he's back, though, that dude's a dog, man. They're gonna.
Yeah, he's a dog.
They beat him twice last year, so that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not the only one high on FSU, man. Everybody's has got them pretty high.
Not me.
Yeah, I got them at number 2. I feel pretty good about them, and so here we go. Tennessee is my team. Tennessee is my team also that maybe I should have swapped out with probably Washington. But other than that, that's hell.
Again, that depends on what their quarterback does too. If they keep it under control, I think they got a great. But if he looks anything like he looked in the Orange Bowl, Tennessee's going to be a pain in the ass.
Watch out.
If I may, Coach,
hit
me. I love you, like 2 fat kids having sexual relations on top of a cupcake, but you have to explain to me.
Baby.
What about what's his deal with Washington, man? I love Michael Penix Jr. I
like Michael Penix a lot, bro.
I loved him in Indiana, right? 100%.
Yeah.
I actually think that their defense did get a few upgrades, including Jabbar Muhammad, which was obviously an Oklahoma State corner. So they did have some improvements, but they only have like 12 returning starters.
Yeah.
That, to me,
I know.
That's a problem.
It is a huge problem. I think it is. But I think, again, if you go back and you look at some of the people that were in those backup positions that are going to be filling in, I also think that their culture throughout their program. And I look at that a lot, guys, is I try to look at the culture within the programs. I think it's in a really good place. And you're right. I probably got them a little higher than they need to be, but they're kind of one of those teams, kind of like Tech, that I think they may be a little bit of a sleeper on everybody.
Very possible. Well, and again, like if we're taking schedule into the equation,
Yes.
yeah, I mean they're gonna have a lot of wins, right? They're destined to have.
They're scared. Yeah, exactly.
They should win 10 games, right? It is what it is.
Never heard that saying before. It's still number 2 to Sean's, which is just like an Okie lighter. I get it. So you guys are always coming up just a little short. You know what I mean? Just a little short.
Somebody's funny.
Just a little short. I'm just kidding, bro. Not really though. All right, we can. You guys can tear up mine next.
Yeah, where's your throw your list up here? I'm ready for you now.
Boom, kill it. LSU, UGA, Michigan, Bama, Tennessee, Ohio State, Florida State, Clemson, Texas, Oklahoma. Beat me up. Go ahead,
bro. You know what? Here's the deal. Cody can back me on this one. All you did was you made a list and you purposely made your number 9 and 10 so crazy it would invoke a conversation. That's what you did. You poked the internet bare. That's all you did. Okay, I see. Listen, you ain't that.
They should be ranked there. I said it a minute ago. They should be ranked about around where they are. Whether they finish there, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the early rankings. Okay.
Well, if you're talking early rankings, the Irish ought to be ahead of that.
Should they? No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
So
they've got their entire offensive line coming back, which was already good. They've got their quarterback who should be better in year 2 and has a freaking NFL arm. They theoretically they have a good defense, right?
All right, guys, I gotta get going.
Cody, thanks for joining us. The Professor,
Appreciate
Cody
you.
Sprague. Make sure to catch him on High Top Sports, and F is for Fanatics. Thanks for coming on the show, bud.
Heck yeah.
Great
No
to
problem.
see you, man.
Good to see you, Coach.
Enjoy.
Good to see you guys.
Enjoy.
Yeah, brother.
Will do. Go Gators.
Later, bro. Go Gators. Go screw a Gator. All right. I said that to High Top yesterday because he said go Texas. So I said go screw a Gator.
Bro, like I don't know.
Go ahead, beat it up. Go ahead. It's okay. It's okay.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cowboy. Yeah. Okay. I've got the tattoos and the job to prove it. But did you see? And I already have it out there that I think we will easily rush for over 4.5 yards a carry. I think we will easily rush for over 2,500 yards. I think our schedule gives us an easy proposition to win 9-10 games. But do you see me throwing Oklahoma State on the daggone list? No, because I thought we were being reasonable, legitimate.
So what's unreasonable?
Bro, come on. You got OU at 10. You got flipping fracking Texas at 9. Because of why?
You realize, let's look at this realistically. The only team with an easier, quote unquote, easier schedule, the only team with a quote unquote easier schedule than Oklahoma is OSU.
100%.
And
maybe
and they're the only two with an easier schedule than Texas in the Big 12.
I get it, man.
Guaranteed. Texas leaves the state twice. Once in week 2, and then they go to where do they go? I don't even remember where the second.
I don't think you're being objective. I think you're letting the fan of you sneak in a little here.
Listen, you know what? You want me to defend it? I'll defend it all.
Well, yeah, that's what we're doing.
I just told you why Texas. I just told you why Texas. They've got the same offensive line back. They have a quarterback who has an NFL arm who just needs their coach to be serviceable, which whether or not he will be, I don't know. I'm telling you, talent-wise, Texas, you said yourself Texas should win.
Yeah.
They should be in they're top 10, right? Are they not top 10?
Come on, man. You look like one of those ESPN too early mother truckers.
Brother,
you drank too much Bud Light before you made this list. That's what you done did.
No.
Look, I knew I was going to get beat to hell on this, and I knew I was, but I'm telling you this.
You did it on purpose.
I'm telling you this. I believe that Texas and Oklahoma should be in the conference championship game in their last year. I've said that a bunch. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. They should be in the conference championship game. I've said that over and over again. Whether or not they will, they should play for the conference championship. They are
you are higher than a giraffe's vagina. Come on, man.
I'm telling you, they should. I didn't say they will. Okay, I didn't say they will. I'm telling you they should be. And the reason I'm saying this, bro, the reason I'm saying
you know what? You need it on the microphone right now. I need to hear you say, and Coach, you need to record this shit. You need to say, ladies and gentlemen, Texas is back.
Oh, shit, no. Okay, here's the deal. I said this is the early rankings. What if you want to know who I think will finish at the top? I don't see Texas. I don't see Texas. I think they end up losing probably 3 because because Sark has never won 10. He's never won 10.
You should have
I said that.
You should have called this the
but
Adele.
Talent-wise, Cody, talent-wise, you know that they should be there. You know it. It's on your freaking list too. You know that they should be there. So don't give me that shit. Look, you've got Texas up there too. You got them low. You got them low, don't you?
What, yeah. Where do I have Texas? 18, where they belong until they do something.
Listen, I'm with you.
I had them at 14, and I was being nice.
That's right. That's right,
right,
dude.
well,
again, talent, yes, talent, yes.
Okay, but and I'm telling you where they're ranked because of the talent, and I told you why they're ranked there because of that talent. Now,
can you tell me why they're ranked there because of their coach?
No, that part is why they won't be there. That part is why they won't be there. Listen, in the power rankings, they're going to be there all year. Shit, they finished ahead of K-State in the power rankings at the end of last year after losing a bowl game. They did. It's crazy, but it happened.
You just told me out loud, out of those beautiful closed lips of yours, that it's a defensible position, and you claim that you explained why. I am deaf because I didn't hear precisely why the explanation is. Do you believe in that offense?
I do believe in their offense. Yeah. I think that's what they're really good at. I think that's what they're really good at.
Without Roschon Johnson.
I don't think that. Yeah, but they also brought in the number 1 running back in the country. They've got with the running back Blue. He was one of the top Texas running backs, period, in the last 4 or 5 years.
And what did he do in the spring game?
He looked really good. They looked really good at running back. They did. I'm not telling you it's Bijan and Roschon. I'm telling you they're going to be good. And then they got C.J. Baxter. And listen, I think they're going to be okay. If you hear a lot of people talking about who's the other kid, damn it, I'm spacing his name, but they're talking about him.
Adela, you're flipping awesome.
Yeah. What is this? I can't make. She is awesome. I love her. I love Adela. She's my favorite people. All right, so.
Whenever I'm watching Bedlam, I can't speak completely.
Oklahoma versus CFU. Who's Central Florida? UCF. Okay. Really?
What?
Really?
Ooh. You know what?
I like it.
I would buy that more than I would Texas.
Nah.
Yeah. I mean, if you believe in Gus, I get that. Listen, I don't have a big problem with that. I could
throw a bunch of shade at Texas. Which I mean, I am to some degree because top 10. To me, that's just. Dude,
I'm just saying. I'm not telling you. I think that's where they're finishing. Just let me say that. These are the way too early rankings. I think by week 4, or definitely by the time they get done with the Oklahoma game, they're out.
You know what? We need to do this. We need to have.
Never won 10 games. Sark's never won 10 games. Yeah, this will all be there. We can revisit this. I'll tell you what I say. I've said this a ton of times with Oklahoma. Oklahoma, they leave the state 3 times. One of the times is to go to Dallas, which is, Oklahoma South. They're going to win that game. They should win the game at Cincinnati, and they should win the game at BYU, although I don't know that they will. I think that if you're looking at the losses that they could have, and they're not going to lose them all. I feel like they could lose the BYU game. They could lose to Texas. I'm not ever going to give that to them.
Right.
But and I know they're going to beat Oklahoma State, and I know and they don't have to play K-State. So that's one of the ones that I feel like listen, I don't think that I'm off on that one. I think that in the top 10 is fine there.
I mean, again, I think it's absolutely preposterous that you would even do that. But
of course you do.
For the sake of argument,
somebody boo this man. Go ahead.
Hey, I did have OU at 8 now.
Yeah, listen.
You know what? I wasn't done. I wasn't done with you.
Continue, sir. Continue, sir. You can go ahead. It's absolutely preposterous. Why? Why is it absolutely preposterous?
Because
when they lost 5 games by 1 score, 4 of them by 3 points, and 2 of those teams they don't even play this season.
Yeah. Okay. How much of this conversation has been about commitment, culture, fit, buy-in, all that shit, right? That's what this entire conversation has been about for the better part of an hour and a half that I've been here. Fair?
Sure.
Texas has none of that.
Okay.
They don't. Neither does Houston. That's why they have players fighting on the sidelines.
Oh, yeah. I've got them at the bottom of the they're not on my list.
It's the same as Texas A&M. That's why.
They're not on my list. They're not on my list. What are we talking about?
Yeah, but Texas is. You're asking me to give you reasons. I've given you like 73.
Listen, I'm just telling you based on what they should be.
Top 10.
I'm telling you they should be playing for the conference championship. If they do, it'll surprise me, but they should be. When I look at that team and I look at the way that they lost games for the last 2 years, do I think that they'll change it around? Probably not. They haven't. I mean, Sark hasn't won 10. I'll give you that.
Bro,
I'll tell you, but with that talent, and look, you know what? How they might be better if they pull the plug on Quinn and let the backup
Murphy?
Malik. Yes, Malik is. I think he's better.
I think
if Malik plays a lot, if Quinn was to get hurt or something, in the first couple of games, I think that makes Texas exponentially.
It's the same situation that they have the luxury of at Texas Tech, right? If Tyler Shuck goes down, Baron Morton is a bad mamma jamma. Texas. Wow. Texas quarterback is good. Yeah, Eric, you're right. Texas, there is no culture. Texas culture right now is we're going to find a way to screw the pooch in the end. Texas finds a way to look like a monkey humping a football every fourth quarter.
I'm with you there. But
that's reason number 74.
If I put OU in the top 10 because of schedule, you need to put Oklahoma State in the top 25. We're going to win 8 games.
Just because of schedule, yeah.
Not happening, bro.
Bro, I messaged you. I could play quarterback in my wheelchair and win 7 games with Oklahoma State schedule. I could hobble out there with a daggone
Adela. I figured you'd be on my side, Adela. Who the hell? What the hell? All right, yeah, y'all beat it to death. That's fine. It's fine. Adela even says I'm very off. I get it. Okay. All right.
Well, yeah,
good job, Adela.
Adela's on drugs and she knows you're crazy. What does that say?
Never forget the pole assassin. I love that one. See, again, he's just beating you to death on this one. You know, that's another one that's better than yours. But I will give you the 2 chubbies having sex on a cupcake. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Not as good as the ED one with the baby arm. Texas having the baby arm in between its legs and having ED. I like that one better.
You know what? Like you said, second place. Oh, and you know what? Another thing.
Second place. This is what Oklahoma State does.
right. Hey, hold on. Hey, coach, you ready for this one?
I'm ready,
I'm gonna help you out.
Okay,
Jason.
buddy.
You got to stop spelling Okie Light, Lite, because
it's just like
Lite is an abbreviation for like calories and grams of sugar.
I know, that's the point.
LIGHT
freaking point
is the proper. Now, don't pretend that you
that's the reason that I do it LITE is so that because there's the low calorie Okie. That's what that's exactly what I call him.
So Cody,
I'm not no daggone bag of Splenda. Are you crazy?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Cody, did he show you the beer can I told him to put together?
No,
Jason, I can't believe you haven't shown him the beer can.
See, Coach, he hides the good shit from me. Huh?
I have shown it to him. I sent it to him. He's full of shit.
You have not. You
all
haven't.
Right.
You told us you were going to show it to us last time on here, and you never did.
Right.
All right.
Yeah,
just a second.
right.
It's on its way.
Get his ass, Coach.
On the way, boys. Don't. You're gonna end up. I'm gonna get everybody all kinds of pissed off here.
Eric, come on now, get out of here with all that.
What did Eric say?
I'm not gonna repeat it because it's ridiculous. And he spelled it wrong on purpose. And now, Jay, you got. You know what? This is the problem, Coach. It's a good thing we're on here because OU fans and their educational abilities need some assistance, and I'm here for y'all. Okay.
Wait. What's going on? I'm trying to find that thing.
Dude,
you guys,
this is your fault. Okay. You right now you are no better than Tony Altimore because you're out here spreading disinformation on how to spell words.
Did you just call me Tony Altimore? I will kick you off my fucking show right now. I will kick you off my show immediately.
You're teaching your people how to. You are right now the principal of the school for kids who can't read.
Understand something. I will boot you off of this show. You better take that back right now. That is not okay, asshole. Not okay. Hey, listen, I can't find it. Damn. Hold on.
He's not going to find it. Man, and it's great, too.
I'm going to find it. Give me a second. Sheesh.
Well, hell, you're still going through all your Texas shit right now. That's why you can't find it.
I got you, bro. Don't worry.
Hey, Cody, and guess who used to hammer me about? I was a Texas fan.
He is
through and through. Guess who it was that used to hammer me about it? And then he ranks them. Oh my God!
Y'all can kiss my both of y'all can kiss my ass real quick.
Jason, why you trying to fly this blue falcon flag, my God? Come on, man.
Whatever do you mean? I don't know what that means.
Dude, I should have said it way earlier, but congratulations on the studio and the radio stuff, bro. That's badass.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
You put in the time, you put in the work. You've definitely earned it.
Listen, folks, I'm excited about that for sure. It should be up here momentarily. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, dude, you'll have some good stuff rolling, and I think it's cool that you have a lot of people that do tune in because I know for a fact the things you're about to be able to do in the next year and a half are going to blow people's minds. So stay with it. Keep kicking ass.
Man, I appreciate it, man. I definitely listen. It just kind of came across on it. I mean,
bro, but it's.
I wasn't expecting it. I just came to go see my buddy, man, and he had a great idea. We're gonna do some cool stuff for them as well. I'm excited about it. It's kind of coming back full circle to where I was before. This is where I met Coach. He was in his first year over here as well. It was super cool, man. So it was one of those things where it just, it came together at the right. It's perfect timing, I think, as well. We're able to do some things that'll help this newspaper out some, and we'll be able to do some.
Well, bro,
he does. I do have a grandson, so yeah, he could probably help me. Yeah, everybody's always.
Dude, it's just like we've talked about before, right? Yeah. In doing this job, right? This YouTube making shows or whatever, right? That we do for a living. Whenever you're doing that, it's not easy. I don't think people realize exactly, how much work you have to put in. But the point of all this is, if you put the work in and you create good content, eventually you're going to have a show or two that pops. Yeah. And when you do have a show or two that pops, you have to be good enough at your job that you have a Rolodex of good material. So when people find a hit and then they go through your stuff and they're like, okay, this is pretty legitimate. You open yourself up for possibilities when you always stay prepared by working your ass off. And I know you do that. So it's dope, man.
Appreciate that, man.
You guys are my You guys are my heroes, man. Because I'm telling you, I know seriously, it takes a lot of time and effort and energy. There we go. Pop it up there, baby.
Freaking thing.
Bro, and sometimes coach, the hardest part of this for me is getting over prepared. Like the show I did today. Dude, I've got like 2 pages of stats that I wrote down. Oh, I'd have throat punch you. You know what? There's so many things.
It looks like a Bud Light can, kind of, except for it's orange, right?
Yeah, and you chose the mullet.
I did send you that, bro. Yes,
I know you did.
How would I not send how would I not freaking
listen,
folks? What do you think about that? Should we put it on a T-shirt?
Listen, Linda, look at it's stupid.
What do the rest of y'all think about that? I'm just
no. Hold on. This is a perfect time to make a bet. Make a daggone. We'll make a shirt. Yeah. Okay. And if OSU loses, I'll wear that stupid thing for a whole week.
Yes.
Oh. But
all right. Okay.
If we beat you,
come on.
If we beat you, you have to play one of my Oklahoma State intros for a week on your show.
For a week?
Yeah, I'm gonna wear your stupid shirt for a week.
For a week? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, yeah, I'll do it because I know that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Bro, it's the last bedlam till
forever.
Supposedly. I'm not a man yet.
It's all your fault.
But when I hit 40, which won't be too long, and I become a man, I don't know how many years it's gonna take before we
give me a Y for a yes or an in for no in my comment section. Would you buy this T-shirt?
Hell yes.
The problem.
It'll be in there either way.
The problem is people are going to say yeah, because the problem is, it's dumb, okay, but it's kind of funny. I ain't gonna lie to you. I got a chuckle out of it. I was hoping.
Hey, did he tell you where the idea came from?
Well, I would assume it's because of
hey, listen, man.
The Cincinnati Mulvaney grad.
Hey, we were talking about that stuff one night, and I said, "Hey, this would be a great idea. Do a beer can."
Oh my god, dude!
I thought it was a great idea.
Hold on, you're telling me that you're partially responsible?
Y for yes. There's a Y. Light Mike and Heavy Kale. Hey, I thought that was a done deal. Whatever happened with that? Guys, we've been on this freaking show for a while now.
Dude, you know what? That's a good question because I know with 100% certainty that he has absolutely been making recruiting calls to recruits on behalf of Oklahoma State.
Really?
But he's not on staff.
That's what Kale does the best is recruit.
He's not an advisor. So I guess technically on paper, he's just a third-party free independent recruiter for us.
He will not do. He even said he wasn't going to do it for free.
I don't know. Again.
He's been doing a lot of local sports radio. I know that.
Yeah. I know he's been talking to a crap ton of high school coaches. It is what it is.
Hey, listen. If here's the thing, if they get Kale to coach, that excuse of we can't recruit anymore goes out the freaking window. Mm-hmm. This is the guy that recruited Adrian Peterson, Joe Mixon, all these dudes, right?
If you go look right now, 247 has us at like 26, the number 26 class.
Get out of here! Are you sure?
Go look.
So he is already recruiting for you then.
Exactly. We're already sniffing that top 25 recruiting class, and I expect at least 3 defensive guys to commit in the next 2 weeks.
He said, "Nice can." I love this. That's awesome.
You know what? The word that I want to say is inappropriate, so I'll just
don't say anything like that. Okay, you can say it to me, but don't say it on there. Don't get us in trouble. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, nice cans. Yes, I'm sorry, Adela. I had to make up for my stupid selections, I guess. So I threw out the light can. All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming in, checking out. I know everybody enjoyed coaches picks anyway. Cody, thank you so much for joining us. I want to say thank you to Jay and K Chris as well. Make sure that you get over to Unfair Sports. If you're not already a subscriber, most of our guys are. Make sure that you become one. Also, we've got to get Chris's subs up as well on the Horns Down podcast. If you're not already a subscriber there, make sure you do that. So jump over there and do that as well. Cody, tell everybody how to find you as well, please.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter. It's at AllDayOState. I also have Instagram as well, which is identical. Facebook, OState AD, right? Same thing, just kind of in reverse. And then I do a daily Oklahoma State podcast with Locked On Oklahoma State. And then I make quite a few appearances on shows, especially recently. So if you follow me on Twitter, I'll be able to keep you updated on my shows and the shows that I'll be appearing on as well.
Okay. Yeah, guys, and thanks again for everybody coming in. Hey, we've had as many as like 30, so make sure you hit that like button. And hey, the biggest thing for us is moving forward. We've got to make sure that we have more viewers. We're definitely going to start going as soon as the studio's done. This is going to be a daily show, daily live show. We'll do call-ins, things like that. That we're working on the format with it and stuff like that.
That's
Coach
awesome.
will be in here for a lot of it. Cody will be on a lot of it as well. We're definitely going to make sure that that things are going to crank up here the closer that we get to the season. I'm super excited about it. Thank you guys all again for being the greatest audience. We have a great audience on my channel. I appreciate it. If you hadn't seen some of me and Cody have both actually done a lot of big shows that we've been on quite a bit lately. So on the Voice of College Football, I did one with Cody and then also one for Oklahoma 2 weeks ago, I guess it was now. So you guys check it out. Hey, we're gonna grow this thing. I appreciate you guys being along for the ride.
I recently had Greg Swaim on my show. I recently
absolutely
had
he's about to be on mine as well. Yes.
Oh wow, awesome.
Swaim is cool, man. Swaim is a cool dude, man. He's always been. I remember him from whenever I was covering tech.
You know what's crazy, bro? Like, obviously, we got to pay bills, got to keep the lights on, all that fun jazz. But
yeah,
I have to pinch myself often, legitimately speaking, when I wake up sometimes and realize I'm having a conversation with Doug Gottlieb and Tatum Bell and Rashawn Woods like it's no big deal, right? Yeah. Like, this job is the coolest thing in the absolute world. The money, to me, the money will come, right? If you continue to put out good. So I don't care about that. The fact that we get to talk to some of the greatest people in the industry.
We're just talking ball too, man. We're just talking ball. I love it. It's just the beauty. Hey, man, that's why I really want this thing to grow, just because I don't want to do anything else. I
talk about sports in Oklahoma State too much.
Else, man.
I talk about sports in Oklahoma State so much. That's why I've already been through a daggone divorce. So this is a perfect job for me.
There it is.
I love it.
There it is. I'm not even married. This is great. All right, folks. Thanks a lot again. Hey, make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Share us with your friends, and we will, wait for the outro, but we will see you on the next one. Hey, you guys all know the drill, right? Say it with me. Smash that red subscriber button. Like our videos. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Hey, we even have amazing pod merchandise right here in our store. Hey, while you're here, don't forget to check out all these other amazing channels and subscribe to them too.